Chapter 1192. Trident. While Wang Lin moved, he tried to store the bottle in his storage space, but something very strange happened. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't put it in his storage space. Wang Lin was actually prepared for this, because if it could really be put into the storage space, then there would have been no need for Master Ashen Pine to be holding it. He moved like a bolt of lightning under the effect of the two speed talismans and shot straight ahead. The giant finger formed by the seven-colored light descended with an earth-shattering roar. It got closer and closer to Wang Lin. The old woman's 3 life and death restrictions were chasing closely after. Under the combined attacks of the two powerful mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Since he had dared to steal food from the mouth of the tiger, he was confident in holding them off. Wang Lin suddenly turned and his figure began to swell. A dense ancient god aura filled this seven-colored world. Then ripples appeared around his body as he grew to 100 feet, 500 feet, 1,000 feet. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a 3,000-foot-tall titan. 5 clear ancient god stars rotated rapidly between his eyebrows, and a 6th star began to appear. The skin on his large body was rough and formed a rune-like texture. His giant-like body would cause anyone who saw it to feel a sense of fear from their soul. Master Ashen Pine's pupils shrank. He had never seen this kind of spell, and his mind was startled. The old woman's eyes shined brightly and were filled with disbelief. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to turn into his true ancient god body. He turned around, looked up at the sky, and directly punched at the descending heavenly fate finger. This was a true punch of an ancient god, and its power could shock the world. This punch was done when Wang Lin was in the form of a true ancient god, so it also contained a heaven-defying will. The thunderous rumble quickly echoed as Wang Lin's giant fist collided with the heavenly fate finger. An indescribable impact spread along with the fierce rumble. The heavenly fate finger began to collapse and dissipate as the powerful force collided with it. Countless specks of seven-colored light scattered, and it collapsed even faster. The whole finger unexpectedly disintegrated under a thunderous rumble, and the countless specks of seven-colored light filled the world. All of this happened in a flash. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he borrowed the force to leap with this 3,000 feet body. He crossed an immeasurable distance in one leap and arrived at the foot of the wall-like mountain. Without hesitating, he kicked off the ground and jumped over the mountain before him. The life and death restriction quickly followed and arrived near Wang Lin in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin was currently above the mountain, and his right hand reached at the void. A giant crack appeared, seeming like he had torn the seven-colored world apart. A giant trident that was completely black appeared from the crack. This trident was about 4,000 feet long and pierced the sky. The moment it appeared, an earth-shaking aura spread out. Dense ancient god aura filled the area as Wang Lin grabbed the trident and swept it before his body. 3 black lines appeared across the tip of the trident as if the world was being split open. Holding the trident, Wang Lin stood like a god on top of the mountain. He swept at the restriction with the trident. The restriction closed in and instantly split into 3. It was about to charge at Wang Lin, but at this moment the trident swept by. The ancient god power inside Wang Lin's body rushed into the trident. The trident released a black light and swept across the restriction. A thunderous rumble echoed as the 3 parts of the restriction were cut in half. The black light from the trident became even more intense and turned into 3 dragons that devoured the restriction. After devouring it, the trident trembled and 3 marks appeared on it. It looked as if Wang Lin was holding 3 black dragons. These dragons were extremely fierce and continued to roar as they twisted their bodies. They revealed monstrous gazes toward Master Ashen Pine and the old woman in green. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the 2 people chasing after him. When his gaze swept by, it was as if an icy wind had pierced their bodies and made their bodies feel a sudden chill. Anyone can take the heavenly treasure. What is this stealing you speak of? If the 2 of you continue, then like the heavenly finger and the restriction, I'll slaughter you both. Wang Lin's words echoed as he turned and shot off into the distance. This scene caused Master Ashen Pine and the old woman in green to gasp. This is Master Ashen Pine's mind trembled and couldn't calm down for a long time. He had cultivated for a very long time and knew of many body refining techniques, but none could produce such a large body. What shocked him the most was that he didn't feel like the body was fake. It was very real. The old woman in green's face was a bit pale as she stared at the giant figure that was about to disappear over the mountain. She clenched her teeth and gave chase. Although Master Ashen Pine was shocked, he had prepared for 1,000 years and had spent a lot of treasures for this. He wasn't willing to just let it be taken from him. At this moment, his eyes were bloodshot and he also gave chase. His right hand pointed at his left shoulder several times and a new arm formed from the 7-colored light. Wang Lin's figure leaped over the mountain and didn't pause as he moved further away. In just a moment, he arrived at the valley where he had placed the restriction. He crossed it with one step and was about to charge ahead. Just at this instant, the old woman chasing after him revealed a vicious gaze. Her hands formed a seal, and she pointed at the restriction she had left behind here earlier. The grass under Wang Lin immediately withered and black ashes flew into the sky. They turned into a giant vortex and were about to surround Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a muffled groan as he collided with the restriction and struggled to get through. The vortex formed by the black ashes chased after Wang Lin. At the same time, the old woman's eyes revealed a strange light, and she sped up. She jumped off the mountain and instantly closed in. She entered the restriction in the valley. Master Ashen Pine was behind and quickly followed, but his eyes lit up. He hesitated for a moment outside the restriction in the valley and didn't fully enter. It wasn't that he had seen through its weakness, but he was cautious of the old woman in green. Just as the old woman in green entered the restriction, Wang Lin suddenly turned around and pointed at the vortex. The black vortex suddenly turned around and shot toward the old woman in green. Shortly after, countless restriction lights lit up in the valley the old woman was in. These lights were blinding, and the thunderous rumble was enough to shake one's heart. Countless restrictions appeared from the ground and immediately surrounded the old woman. At a glance, there were tens of thousands of them. These restrictions gave off a ghostly light. After fusing the life and death restriction and annihilation restriction, their power was earth-shattering. The moment Wang Lin activated them, all of them rushed toward the old woman. There was also that black vortex. It instantly shrouded the area, making it impossible to see inside. However, the thunderous roars and muffled groans of the old woman could be heard clearly. At this moment, the earth trembled, and the old woman's angry roars became even more intense, and there were flashes of blood-red light inside the vortex. The roars continued. It was clear that it was difficult for her to leave. She was in a life-or-death crisis. This scene caused Master Ashen Pine's expression to change greatly. With his wisdom, he immediately realized that this restriction was placed by the old woman, but was taken over by Wang Lin. Wang Lin had led her into this killing formation. This person is also proficient in restrictions. Master Ashen Pine looked at the restriction that had completely trapped the old woman. He could clearly feel the power of the restriction. He took a deep breath, but he didn't give up on fighting for the jade bottle. Old woman Zhao being trapped is good for me. As long as I kill that person named Lu, I can take back the jade. With my understanding of this place, no one can find me. There was a flash of killing intent in Master Ashen Pine's eyes, and he made a decision instantly. He moved around the restrictions outside the valley and his hands formed a seal. Tens of thousands specks of golden light appeared and all shot at Wang Lin. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He had been waiting for this chance. He couldn't battle two mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators at once. He had to injure or trap one of them before he could be safe to battle. Master Ashen Pine was malicious even back on Peng Lai. Seeing the spell closing in, Wang Lin let out a cold snort and waved the trident in his hand. The three dragons roared and the rain of swords was knocked into the sky. They weren't able to close in on Wang Lin. Master Ashen Pine's eyes revealed a vicious gaze and reached out at the void. A crack to this storage space opened, and a flying sword flew out. This sword was crystal clear, and the moment it appeared, the aura of a pseudo-nirvana void treasure surrounded the area. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. Just at this moment, Master Ashen Pine let out a roar and threw the crystal sword. The sword let out a heaven-shattering roar as it flew toward Wang Lin. His first real battle with a mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator made Wang Lin excited. He didn't retreat, and instead swept the trident forward. The three dragons unexpectedly flew out from the trident and attempted to devour the crystal sword. What was even more strange was that the three marks that had formed after devouring the life and death restriction shined. They flew out and fused with the three black dragons. This caused the aura of life and death restriction to suddenly appear. This was the true power of the trident. 3,000 words in a major chapter, hoping to be shared, hoping to get the like button hit for the video. Chapter 1193, A Bloody Battle Against Master Ashen Pine. It could devour all spells in the world for its own use. This was the ancient god treasure that ancient god 2C refined back then. 2C was extremely satisfied with this treasure, but it was lacking a spirit, so he turned it into a mountain and then threw it on a planet. He hoped to use time to condense a spirit for it. After he finished his technique, this would be a treasure that would be on par with his god-slaying spear. However, it was unfortunate that 2C failed, and this trident was lost in the flow of time. After the ulcer obtained it, he could use its power, but he couldn't activate its ability. Only an ancient god could use its ability. Although Wang Lin's cultivation level was below the All-Seer's, he was an ancient god. After experiencing the first trial and two calamities, he was now a true ancient god. With the trident in hand, he could display its spell-devouring ability. The three dragons were the devouring dragons. The life and death restriction was devoured and became a spell of the trident. The restriction flew out and fused with the black dragons as they rushed at the pseudo-nirvana void crystal sword. This crystal sword was very powerful among the treasures that Master Ashen Pine had. The reason he had taken it out was to quickly kill Wang Lin. As it flew across the sky, it seemed like it could slice the world in half. The black dragons immediately closed in on the crystal sword. A thunderous rumble echoed as the three dragons opened their mouths and devoured the crystal sword. At the same time, the three black dragons' bodies trembled. A roar came from one of the dragons, but it didn't explode. It struggled to return to Wang Lin along with the other two dragons, and they turned back into the trident. There was a faint, crystal glow on the trident's body. Then, an imprint of the crystal sword slowly appeared on it. Master Ashen Pine's expression changed, but he quickly charged forward. His right hand formed a seal and pointed forward. A flash of light appeared before him and instantly changed into endless sword energy. The sword energy filled the sky and shot at Wang Lin. Shortly after, his right hand reached at his storage bag and 3 beads appeared. He threw them and shouted, "Summon, defying one!" All the 7-colored light in the world gathered once more and surged into the 3 beads. As popping sounds echoed, one of the beads quickly collapsed. The moment it collapsed, it turned into a blurry shadow in the sky. It was impossible to see clearly what the shadow was, but a sword might envelop the world. The shadow lifted its right hand and pointed at Wang Lin. With one finger, all the 7-colored light gathered, an array of 7-colored sword energy that could pierce the world shot at Wang Lin. Shortly after, another bead collapsed. The earth trembled and a large part of the wall-like mountain range collapsed. A stone giant walked out from the mountains, each step causing the ground to shake. The stone giant was draped in the 7-colored light and charged at Wang Lin. At this moment, the third bead exploded. The 7-colored light gathered like crazy and turned into a giant compass. This compass was ethereal, and it rapidly rotated to create a powerful pressure. The moment he started attacking, he used all his killing aces. He obviously wanted to kill Wang Lin quickly. His right hand formed a seal and pointed to between his eyebrows. Then his face turned red, and another ray of bloodlight flew out. There was something like a nascent soul inside the bloodlight. It was exactly the same as the thing that attacked the old woman in green. This nascent soul released a fierce scream and charged toward Wang Lin in a blood-red glow. It contained an unspeakable ferociousness on its face. All of this happened in an instant. The moment the trident returned to Wang Lin, Master Ashen Pine's killing move arrived. He was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer, so his dense origin energy allowed his spells and magic treasures to have shocking power. Wang Lin's expression was calm and his eyes were filled with battle intent. He grabbed the trident and threw it into the sky at the compass. From Wang Lin's point of view, this was the most dangerous item. Shortly after, his right hand formed a seal and pointed forward. The 7-colored sky was covered in a roaring black wind. A number of black dragons formed, but they didn't scatter. Instead, they all shot toward the blurry 7-colored figure in the sky. After call, the wind came summon the rain. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and thousands of drops of crystal rain appeared. They quickly shot at the immeasurable sword energy Master Ashen Pine had shot out, and a portion of them went after the stone giant. Popping sounds echoed as Wang Lin walked forward, and his right hand formed a fist. He threw a punch at the incoming seven-colored sword energy. A thunderous rumble echoed. The seven-colored sword energy trembled, and 6 of the colors collapsed. Only the blue light hot out and drilled into Wang Lin's right hand. Wang Lin's body trembled as he felt a crazed aura rush into his body from his arm, causing him to let out a groan. His left hand formed a seal and pointed at the void. Then he opened his mouth to allow the celestial sealing stamp to fly out. The moment it appeared, battle souls came out one by one. Master Void, the Ulcer, and Wu Qing all appeared and charged at the ferocious-looking blood-nascent soul. In addition, a large amount of battle souls walked out from the celestial sealing stamp. There were Celestials, Al-Heaven cultivators, and Alliance cultivators. This immediately caused a violent aura to envelope the area. This scene caused Master Ashen Pine to suck in a breath of cold air. He thought that he had overestimated Wang Lin, but just the few treasures Wang Lin had shown were enough to terrify ordinary cultivators. A thunderous rumble echoed in the seven-colored world. The trident rushed at the compass in the sky, but when it was 7 inches away, it was stopped by a 7-colored light screen. The 3 dragons on the trident devoured the light screen like crazy and continued to close in. The blurry figure that was also floating in the sky gradually dissipated under the impact of the black dragons formed by Call the Wind. Even farther away, the stone giant was covered in countless layers of ice under the assault of the countless raindrops. Before it could even get close, it turned into a giant ice sculpture. The blood-nascent soul-like thing screamed under assault of the souls of the old monsters. It tried to escape, but it couldn't get out. What was worth Wang Lin's attention was the All-Seer's soul. The moment it appeared, its eyes were filled with confusion. It didn't follow the order of magic arsenal to attack, but instead stared at the sky. Wang Lin didn't have time to pay attention to the All-Seer's soul. He rushed out, and his hand reached at the void. Countless bolts of lightning appeared. It looked like Wang Lin had grabbed lightning. The endless lightning condensed and turned into an ethereal spear. This was the illusion of the god-slaying spear. He mercilessly threw the spear, and it shot at the huge compass in the sky, breaking all obstacles in its path. Wang Lin didn't stop there. He charged forward, and his right hand mercilessly pressed down. His huge palm descended from the sky as 2 fingers from his left hand quickly pressed down on the back of his right hand. The origin energy surged from the 7-colored world and rushed into his right hand. A giant illusionary handprint appeared before his right hand and descended on Master Ashen Pine. Master Ashen Pine's eyes were bloodshot and revealed a hint of madness. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. He waved his right hand and his expression became ferocious. 7 nascent souls immediately appeared, and they all let out mournful cries. In the blink of an eye, a lightning mark appeared before Master Ashen Pine. The moment the lightning mark appeared, the entire world darkened. It was as if all the light in the world was absorbed by this lightning mark. Using the blood of 100 origins to exchange for the 7th spirit of the sealed realm, Master Ashen Pine roared as the lightning mark flashed. At this moment, Wang Lin's palm descended on the lightning mark. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the palm collapsed. The moment it collapsed, a ray of lightning shot out toward Wang Lin. It was so fast that Wang Lin didn't have time to dodge at all. It landed on his chest. Wang Lin's body trembled and was knocked back several steps. For the first time, ancient god blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were fierce. His right hand reached at the void, and an iron sword appeared. It circled his palm once as if it was locking onto a target and shot at Master Ashen Pine. Master Ashen Pine's left hand waved at his storage space, and a 7-colored nail appeared. This was exactly the same as the one that had pierced the skeleton with the Tao scripture engraved on its bones. Die for this old man. Master Ashen Pine waved his hand and the 7-colored nail shot at the iron sword. This nail contained an unimaginable pressure. It was actually stronger than pseudo-Nirvana void treasures. In an instant, the nail collided with the iron sword. Crackling sounds echoed, and the iron sword cracked down the middle and split in half. The 7-colored nail shattered the iron sword and directly embedded itself into Wang Lin's right shoulder. An intense pain washed through Wang Lin's body, causing him to tremble. At the same time, although the sword was split, the tip of the sword penetrated Master Ashen Pine's chest and inserted itself into the ground. Master Ashen Pine coughed out blood. He was seriously injured as he turned around and charged at the wall like mountains. Wang Lin's body trembled violently. The 7-colored nail seemed to be able to piece his origin soul. His eyes became confused and his body rapidly shrank. He was about to turn to the size of an ordinary person. He clenched his teeth as he stared at the escaping Master Ashen Pine that was constantly coughing out blood. The war spirit print appeared in his mind and he ferociously pushed his palm forward. The war spirit print appeared and the world stirred. When it got near Master Ashen Pine, he used some unknown spell that caused his body to collapse into 7-colored fog. He was able to escape death as the 7-colored fog wrapped around his origin soul and disappeared over the other side of the mountain. Wang Lin coughed out blood, and his body returned to normal. He retrieved all his treasures and didn't even bother looking at the old woman trapped inside the restriction before he quickly left. His face was pale and a large amount of blood was flowing out of his shoulder. His battle against Master Ashen Pine had resulted in both of them being seriously injured. The giant compass in the sky slowly moved and chased after Wang Lin. Tonight there will be 2 to 3 new chapters. Leo will do his utmost to make up for the chapters missing from the last 2 days. Chapter 1194, Shattering the Compass. Wang Lin's face was pale without a trace of blood. The blood at the corner of his mouth made a shocking contrast. He put away all his treasures, including the split iron sword, and retreated into the distance. The blood-nascent soul's Master Ashen Pine had sent out couldn't escape and were captured by Wang Lin's battle souls. His vision was a blurry, and the feeling of drowsiness filled his whole body while intense pain came from his right shoulder. He was alternating between passing out and being awake. In his eyes, it looked like there were multiple roads before him. The giant compass moved in the sky. It was locked onto Wang Lin and kept moving with him. As it rapidly rotated, a powerful pressure applied and locked onto the escaping Wang Lin. Wang Lin was very weak, and under this pressure, he almost staggered. Just at this moment, a loud rumble came from the compass, and it rotated even faster. 7-colored light gathered in the compass like crazy, and soon countless 7-colored runes appeared around the compass. A sense of danger spread in Wang Lin's heart. At this moment of danger, Wang Lin mercilessly bit his tongue to become sober. Just at this moment, the countless runes descended from the compass. The moment the runes fell, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and his left hand reached at the void, grabbing the trident. The runes whistled through the sky and fell like rain. A thunderous rumble echoed, and Wang Lin coughed out blood. Many of the runes landed on Wang Lin's body, leaving deep imprints, and each mark caused Wang Lin's body to tremble. His eyes were filled with madness. This was Wang Lin's character. The more critical the moment, the more dangerous it was, the more calm he was, but with a hint of madness. Calmness and madness weren't contradictory. Calm judgment, but crazy actions. The compass had to be destroyed, or else it would continue to chase Wang Lin and bring him danger. Also, with this thing following him around, Wang Lin would be at the mercy of the 2 enemies in this place. As Wang Lin's left hand held the trident, the madness in his eyes became even stronger. He knew he didn't have much sober time left. As his injuries grew worse, he could lose his consciousness at any time. He had to break this compass and find place to heal. Time was of the essence. Wang Lin took a deep breath and battle intent filled his eyes. Fire filled his left eye, and the red vermilion bird armor appeared around Wang Lin. At the same time, thunder flashed in his right eye and made the area within 10,000 feet of him a thunder lake. The thunder rumbled as the lightning snaked across the earth. Popping sounds came from the earth as lightning traveled along it. The remnants of his ancient god power left his right hand and gathered in the trident in his left arm. At this instant, a thunderous roar that defied the heavens echoed, and Wang Lin jumped off the ground. A sea of flames suddenly appeared and a vermilion bird appeared around Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin had taken control of all the fire in the world and charged at the compass. The moment he charged out, the thunder rumbled and flew into the air along with Wang Lin. The thunder rose up with Wang Lin and formed a thunder mountain. A mountain made of thunder. Wang Lin was at the peak of the mountain. The thunder mountain grew and eventually condensed outside of Wang Lin's body. It was as if Wang Lin had absorbed the thunder mountain. With the power of thunder and fire, Wang Lin was like a meteor covered in thunder and fire. He held the trident as he charged forward, searching for his own heaven-defying cultivation path. His speed became faster and faster. The moment the countless runes appeared around the compass, he closed in. The sound of him breaking through the sky became louder and louder until it was an earth-shattering roar. 9 Mysterious Transformation. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he unexpectedly split into 9 parts and then fused back into one. An aura far more powerful than before descended on Wang Lin's body in this 7-colored realm. The cry of the vermilion bird echoed, and Wang Lin's figure was dazzling as he charged at the compass. He moved faster than before and smashed into the compass. A thunderous rumble echoed like crazy. The rotating compass trembled and began to collapse. At first it was just cracks, but soon the cracks spread until it was covered in cracks. Then, with a bang, it was torn apart. As the countless fragments scattered, a red figure flew out from the collapsed compass. It didn't even look back before it disappeared over the horizon. Although this figure had dissipated, the sound of the compass collapsing echoed across the entire 7-colored realm. On the outer region, a large amount of fog beasts rapidly condensed and looked at the direction where this earth-shattering sound had come from. The numerous lost ones wandering around all stopped. They raised their heads and looked at the direction of the sound with confused expressions. The boy named Wanmu was one of them. There was a hidden cave in a mountain on the outer region of the 7-colored realm. There was a burly man sitting inside the cave. His face was pale, and there was still blood scattered over his clothes. His eyes suddenly opened, and the rumble and fluctuations he felt made him gasp. Jianjun. The old woman was trapped inside the restriction outside the valley and couldn't escape in a short period of time. She had to withstand the constant attacks of the restrictions, and her face was pale, but her eyes were filled with unwillingness. Her hands kept forming seals and sending out restrictions to resist, but the power of the restrictions here was far beyond her imagination. The life and death restriction had completely fused with the annihilation restriction, so she could no longer control it. She was constantly being attacked, and her injuries were getting worse as time went by. The moment the heaven-shaking rumble came, the old woman suddenly looked up, bewildered and uncertain. This rumble echoed across the 7-colored realm and passed through the wall-like mountain range. It traveled through the fog, causing the fog to rumble. The large amount of enlightened ones stopped chanting for the first time and looked over in a daze. Inside the fog, between the eyebrows of the huge statue with a lightning mark on its forehead, there was a cloud of 7-colored fog. Master Ashen Pine's weakened origin soul was sitting here healing. The moment that rumble arrived, he suddenly looked up and was filled with shock. This time he was truly shocked. He'd already predicted that Wang Lin would be powerful, but he had never thought Wang Lin would be able to match him and cause them both to become seriously injured. Thinking back to all the treasures he had used, he felt his heart bleed, especially those 3 beads. Losing them really stung his heart, and the crystal sword as well. However, compared to the 7-colored nail, these things were truly insignificant. Thinking about the 7-colored nail, Master Ashen Pine felt like his origin soul was about to collapse. That nail was the most powerful treasure he had, and it was his hidden ace. However, even after he took it out, he couldn't kill that cultivator named Lu. He had even lost his own body and almost died. The reason he escaped, aside from him being too weak to keep fighting, was that he was sure Wang Lin would die. Being that seriously injured meant that Wang Lin couldn't possibly escape the compass spell formed by the bead. Once Wang Lin died, he could control the compass to bring the body back and absorb the origin soul. After his injuries recovered, he could easily obtain everything. However, the roar and the sensation of his connection to it being cut off shocked Master Ashen Pine, and he began to ponder. Even with injuries that severe, he was still able to break the spell on the compass for the first time. Master Ashen Pine felt fearful of Wang Lin. The mountain where Master Ashen Pine was at was not the true center of the 7-colored realm like he had said. Even deeper, at the edge of the true center of the 7-colored realm, there was a valley submerged in fog. Master Cloud's soul was sitting there with a pale face, and he didn't dare to move an inch. Wang Lin's divine sense became blurry as he quickly moved forward. However, he clenched his teeth to keep a trace of sanity. His vision gradually dimmed as he rushed into a deserted valley and into a deserted cave. He only had time to open his storage space to allow the woman in silver and Shu Liguo to come out before he fell on the ground and passed out. Shu Liguo had his task when Wang Lin was killing noble money and was put away by Wang Lin. Now that he had come, he was about to boast, but he immediately saw that Wang Lin's eyes were closed and that his face was ashen gray. His eyes couldn't help but turn. However, just at this moment, a cold snort appeared. Shu Liguo's body trembled, and he immediately revealed a look of flattery. He already knew how powerful this silver female corpse was, so he wouldn't dare to offend her. "God," the woman in silver said in a cold voice. Then she sat down next to Wang Lin. When she looked at Wang Lin, there was a hint of confusion and tenderness in her eyes. Shu Liguo quickly agreed. After he noticed that the woman in silver was no longer paying attention to him and was only looking at the fiend, he began to pretend like he was guarding. However, he was secretly complaining in his heart. "What's good-looking about that fiend? It is your Grandpa Shu who is suave, graceful, handsome, and beautiful. Alas, I am just too eye-catching, and I am completely helpless about it." Shu Luo was sighing in his heart and revealed a very regretful expression. Good night, everyone. We will meet again tomorrow. Just wait a moment. Remember to like the video. Chapter 11. Zhang Hu. Weasel? Wang Lin was stunned. The first person he thought of that might fit the description was the yellow-cloth disciple that laughed at him. However, he wasn't sure. "Ah? Did you not see him? He is the man responsible for organizing the work of the disciple. He is also an honorary disciple but has been given right to start his cultivation. Wearing yellow clothes, he doesn't look like a good guy at all. We all call him Weasel," Zhang Hu explained as he drank water. Wang Lin took a bite of a sweet potato, then said, "I know who it is. I saw him today. He told me to bring back 10 vats of water a day starting tomorrow, or else I won't get any food." Zhang Hu was stunned. After staring at Wang Lin for a bit, he asked, "Brother, did you offend him before?" Wang Lin shook his head and asked, "Why?" Zhang Hu showed Wang Lin a pitiful expression. "Wang Lin, are you thinking that the vats are like the ones you use at home? Like this big?" He gestured with his hands. Wang Lin had a bad feeling and nodded. Zhang Hu had a bitter smile. He said, "You must have offended the yellow weasel. The vats he is talking about is the size of this room. Filling up 10 vats, Wang Lin, I want eat these sweet potatoes. You keep them. You'll be lucky to get food every 4 to 5 days. You are new here, and all the foraging spots in the mountain are taken. Only the elder disciples can pick them. Tomorrow, I'll just eat my wild fruits." He placed the remaining sweet potatoes on the table, sighed, laid down on his bed, and fell asleep. Wang Lin felt rage surge through him. But then he thought of his parents' eyes filled with expectations and forced down his rage. He lay down on the bed, asleep, full of rage. It was still dark on the second day when Wang Lin climbed out of bed. Zhang Hu was still snoring. Wang Lin put on his gray outfit and quickly made his way to the place he had met the weasel. Soon after he arrived, the sun emerged from the east. Yellow-clad youths opened the doors and gave Wang Lin weird looks. "At least you are on time. Get a bucket and head out east. There is a spring in the mountain. Carry water from there." He paid no more attention to Wang Lin. He sat cross-legged on the ground and breathed slowly while facing the sunrise. A barely visible white mist came from his nose, rolling like 2 dragons. Wang Lin eyed him with envy. He then walked into the room and looked around. Finally, behind a door he saw the 10 vats and let out a bitter smile as he walked toward the east gate. Wang Lin arrived at the location after a long walk. The scenery was quite beautiful and the sound of running water was soothing. It was a place that could soothe the heart. He had no time to appreciate the beauty. When the bucket was full, he picked it up and quickly went back up the mountain. Wang Lin kept doing this until dusk. He hadn't even filled 1 vat yet. If it wasn't for the sweet potatoes filling his stomach, he wouldn't have the strength to continue. His arms and legs were sore and numb. They hurt whenever he moved. Wang Lin pondered a while, then carried away half a bucket of water to a deserted area. He looked around to make sure no one was in the vicinity. He dropped the stone bead into the bucket and sloshed it around a bit. Then he took out the bead and drank the water. He immediately felt a warmth in his stomach and the muscle pain disappeared. Although the effect was inferior to the du's, Wang Lin was still excited. He touched his chest and adjusted the position of the bead. He decided to not let anyone know of this treasure. After he finished drinking half a bucket of water, his muscles were no longer sore and he felt full of energy. He quickly continued his job of fetching water. That night, he dipped the stone bead in another half bucket of water and drank it. To avoid suspicion, he came back with a weary look on his face. A while later, Zhang Hu came back. He still wore that overworked expression on his face. The two talked for a bit, and Zhang Hu hesitantly begged for 2 pieces of sweet potato. He ate them and fell asleep on his bed. Time passed by quickly, and in the blink of an eye a month had passed since Wang Lin became a Heng Yu sect disciple. Wang Lin found out that Zhang Hu's job was to collect firewood. He must collect enough firewood before he could eat. He had been collecting firewood the entire 3 years since he became an honorary disciple of the Heng Yu sect. 3 years ago, he would only eat once every 3 or 4 days, but now he has shortened it to where he could eat once every 2 days. According to him, the honorary disciples are to do chores for 10 years and be able to eat 3 meals a day before they can learn even the most basic cultivation. The inner disciples are not like them. They have their own master, do not do any chores, and have their own rooms. Their only job is to cultivate. In addition, there is a person in between the inner disciples and the honorary disciples, such as Wang Hao, who became a help, but he is basically a servant. These people do not need to do chores and also practice some low-level techniques. They only need to complete the work their master assigns them. However, these people possessed very little talent, and they would just spend their whole lives being helpers. As for the so-called talent, Wang Lin learned from Zhang Hu that it was simply spiritual energy. Everyone has it, but in varying amounts. If one has enough spiritual energy, they can learn an immortal technique in a year. But if lacking, it would take in dozens or even hundreds of years. A man's life is limited. Someone with mediocre talent will never get anywhere in his lifetime. That is why the sect put such large importance on spiritual energy. This month, when Wang Lin was fetching water, he drank a lot of water that the stone bead had been soaked in, causing his body to become much stronger. Before, it would take him 6 days to fill the 10 vats, now it only took 3. However, in order to keep others from being suspicious, Wang Lin always got up before sunrise and leisurely walked toward the mountain with the bucket. While others were surprised he was able to finish within 3 days, they thought it was because he wake up extra early and went to sleep late. 4,000 words in a major chapter. Read an extra 1,000 words, wishing for the like button on the video to help. Chapter 119, Soul Awakens. The spatial rifts in the foreign battleground occurred due to the countless battle that happened here. If it wasn't for the fact that the cultivation union comes and stabilizes this place, it would have already collapsed. What is on the other side of the spatial rifts is a sea of stars. That place is filled with energy and strange creatures. It isn't like no one that has entered the rifts have come out. However, those late-stage soul transformation cultivators teleported out almost as soon as they had entered, before the suction force reached its maximum strength. The scariest thing about the spatial rifts in the foreign battleground is the suction force. Even soul transformation cultivators have trouble with it. The suction is so powerful that it can even suck out spiritual energy, so don't even think about escaping. That is just one reason that they are dangerous. The other reason is that no one knows exactly where the spatial rifts connect to. They had only heard from some very powerful cultivators that the space is pitch black, and that your divine sense is trapped inside your body once you get there. A point of light suddenly appeared in the spatial rift and floated within it. If one looked closely, they could see a soul fire glow faintly. Time slowly passed. After unknown amount of time, that point of light kept floating in space. That soul fire showed signs of dissipating. Time passed, and the light was still very faint. Only a faint ember remained of the soul fire. One day, a giant shadow suddenly floated toward the light. Upon closer inspection, that shadow was a large corpse. This body seemed to be the same as a giant Demon Clan member's body. However, if one looked closely at that body's forehead, there wasn't a hammer, but an axe. A black axe. If any giant Demon Clan members were here, they would instantly recognize that as a sign of their ancestral tribe. The moment the body touched the light, a sliver of smoke came out of the body. The smoke took the figure of a person and revealed a greedy look as it jumped at the light. This was a special type of creature that lived inside the foreign battleground. It devoured everything, whether it was bodies, magic treasures, or souls. It jumped toward the body, but it let out a scream and tried to escape. However, the light instantly absorbed the creature, leaving behind only the body. After absorbing that creature, the light became brighter, and the soul fire inside it became stronger. At that moment, Wang Lin woke up. To be more accurate, his soul woke up. When he woke up, he didn't have any consciousness, as he was only a ball of soul fire. a very cold feeling came from within his soul. There was a very large fire next to his soul. Although this fire released an evil aura, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to jump toward it. The light suddenly went into the giant's head and slowly settled inside. Wang Lin's soul could be considered to be surrounded by a demonic flame. As the coldness went away, and his soul gradually calmed down, time slowly passed by again. This period of time was even longer than the one before. During this long period of time, the body Wang Lin was in slowly floated in the foreign battleground. It wasn't certain if it was because that body contained Wang Lin's soul, but more of those creatures appeared to try to devour Wang Lin. However, they were all devoured by him instead. His divine sense grew larger, and his soul fire grew stronger. The stronger he became, more of these creatures emerged like crazy, wanting to devour him. Wang Lin didn't know that the body he was in was like a giant beacon in this dark world. Wang Lin didn't exactly know how much time had passed. Ever since he had awakened, he felt hungry and had devoured several of those creatures. He only knew that every time he devoured one, he could feel his mind become clearer. Finally, one day Wang Lin remembered the moment of his birth, the 16 years with his parents, the days at the Hang Yue sect. And he finally remembered Teng Hui Yuan. A wave of sorrow came from his soul as he realized what had happened. At the last moment, Situ Nan risked himself to save him and had brought him into the foreign battleground. The moment it went into the spatial rift, the heaven-defying bead underwent a change. To be more accurate, it disappeared without a trace. But Wang Lin could clearly feel that the heaven-defying bead hadn't disappeared. It had mysteriously fused into Wang Lin's soul. It could be said that the heaven-defying bead had melted and fused with Wang Lin's soul. It was because of this that he was able to devour all of those mysterious and powerful creatures. Situ Nan didn't die, but entered a permanent state of slumber. The last thing he did before falling asleep was wrap Wang Lin's parents' souls with his nascent soul to slumber with him. Wang Lin's parents were not cultivators, so they had no chance of being revived or possessing a body. Wang Lin just wanted to keep his parents around so they don't disappear. After he recovered all of his memories, he realized that his divine sense had become huge. The giant's body seemed to be unable to withstand it anymore and had started to break down. Helpless, Wang Lin left the giant's body. The coldness returned once more. He floated through the space, looking for the next body to possess. This process of traveling through the void to find a different corpse lasted for a long time. Likewise, the mysterious creatures kept coming to him to be devoured. His divine soul became even more powerful. Devouring these powerful creatures gradually became Wang Lin's habit. He stopped devouring them while defending himself, but he actively seeked them out when he wasn't. Or it could be said that Wang Lin had been here for too long enough for him to search through his own memories multiple times. He began to analyze everything that he had done. After he finished analyzing everything he had done, he realized that he had nothing left to do. That was when he suddenly remembered that formation book he had bought. He immediately recalled the contents of the book and began to study them. When he had completely mastered the basic formations in the book, he fell back into the state of having nothing to do. In these countless years, Wang Lin had seen many spatial rifts that led to the exit, but his divine sense had become far too large to leave through these small spatial rifts. But he found out that as his divine sense grew larger, the spatial rifts would crack when he slammed into them. However, after one or two collisions, the spatial rift would automatically disappear. One or two collisions weren't enough to cause the spatial rift to collapse. That was because his divine sense wasn't powerful enough, so Wang Lin started to devour those creatures like crazy. He completely gave up on the idea of finding a body to possess. Instead, he quickly moved through the void. Every time he came across one of those mysterious creatures, he would quickly rush up and devour it. This life continued for a long time. Every time he saw a spatial rift, he would slam into it. He knew that he would be able to cause the spatial rift to collapse in one or two hits one day. But as time passed, Wang Lin found that the mysterious creatures in the void seemed to have disappeared. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find another one. So he increased the scope of search. One day, Wang Lin felt a divine sense similar in size to his own. This was the first time that Wang Lin had found a divine soul as powerful as his. A fuzzy voice entered Wang Lin's soul. "You passed the trial," it said. Wang Lin was startled. He quickly used the same method to send out a message. How can I leave here? Leave? Why would you want to leave? There is no way to leave after the owner of the voice sent out that message. He slowly backed away and disappeared. Wang Lin pondered a little. He could hear some coldness in that soul S words. He realized that within this void, there were souls with divine senses as powerful or more powerful than his. They must each have their own territory. Once Wang Lin enters another S territory, it will be a battle to the death with them. After this unexpected encounter, Wang Lin went in other directions and found that there were 3 more souls with large divine senses like his. Through some exchanges, Wang Lin found out that with this current strength, he was unable to break through the spatial rift in 1 or 2 hits. But Wang Lin's determination to return was strong. He came up with a crazy idea. He spread out his divine sense to cover his entire territory. The wider his divine sense spread, the stronger the disturbance it caused. Wang Lin carefully watched over the area his divine sense covered. To his right, a spatial rift suddenly appeared. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin sent a piece of his divine sense into the spatial rift. The moment the divine sense entered the spatial rift, he cut off that part of his divine sense. As the spatial rift disappeared, he lost contact with that piece of his divine sense. Wang Lin's expression didn't change as he waited for the next spatial rift to appear. Brothers, have you not yet hit the like button for the video? Wish that the like button for the video would be hit. Chapter 1195 7-Colored Nail. The woman in silver withdrew her gaze after a long time, and the confusion in her eyes became even stronger. She vaguely seemed to remember something, but it was very vague. She lifted her jade-like hand and waved it according to her fuzzy memories. There was a faint flash of a ghostly light, and a restriction landed on the entrance of the cave. If Wang Lin was awake and saw this, his eyes would narrow. This restriction was the life and death restriction. This technique was far above what the old woman had made, extremely skillful. Wang Lin wasn't in a coma for too long. After a few hours, he opened his eyes, and when he saw the entrance, he was startled. He looked at the woman in silver but didn't ask. Instead, he sat down and began to cultivate. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 days went by. During these 3 days, the outside world was calm, without the slightest fluctuation. It was as if all the cultivators in the 7-colored realm were recovering as much as possible. After 3 days, not only did Wang Lin's complexion not recover, he became even more pale. There was a faint 7-colored glow coming from his right shoulder. The wound had healed, but the nail was still impaled in his bone. The 7-colored nail made his bones constantly shatter, but due to his powerful ancient god vitality, the shattered bone was quickly recovering. This repeated endlessly and brought Wang Lin intense pain. What was even more serious was that not only was the 7-colored nail embedded into his bones, it also felt like it had penetrated into Wang Lin's origin soul. His origin soul was sluggish and weak. If that was it, it wouldn't have been an issue. But Wang Lin was shocked to find that the 7-colored nail was constantly draining his vitality. It was as if it wouldn't stop until it had drained all his vitality. What kind of treasure is this to have the power to even break the pseudo-nirvana void sword in half? Wang Lin's heart ached. The iron sword had been with him for many years and had been extremely useful, but now it was broken. There were also the bees that Master Ashen Pine threw out. Each of them could summon a spell in this 7-colored world. They are very strange. Even the heavenly fate finger appeared from one. As Wang Lin endured the pain, he began to ponder. He thought about when the Ulcer-S battle soul appeared, and looked at the sky in confusion. This place must be connected to the All-Seer. After pondering a bit, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. However, Master Ashen Pine is also seriously injured. His body collapsed under the war spirit print and only his origin soul escaped. He was also seriously injured by the iron sword and has consumed a lot of his treasures. I must recover as soon as possible, and the next time we meet, he will undoubtedly die. There is also that old woman in green who was trapped inside the restriction. Even though she is proficient in the life and death restriction, with my annihilation restriction mixed in, it won't be simple for her to come out. Even if she breaks out by force, she will be seriously injured. There is also Master Cloud Soul. When he was teleported here, he was teleported to a random location, but I don't know where. However, this place is filled with danger, and being randomly transported here is very dangerous. It is likely he can even fend for himself right now. These three were all done in by me, but that Shen Tianjun left early. Although we felt his spells dissipate before, it is difficult to prove he is dead. Everyone here was scheming against each other, and no one wanted the others to leave here with the treasure. This was what they call, even though a person doesn't want to harm a tiger would still want to harm the person. If you continue to be passive, you will only end up being schemed against. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had long since seen through all of this. This was why he acted first and forced Master Cloud Soul to teleport to another location. Then he trapped the old woman in the restriction so he could have a battle against Master Ashen Pine. While pondering, intense pain came from his right shoulder and sweat came from his forehead. He revealed a decisive gaze and swiped his left hand over his right should. A wound immediately appeared and continued to expand until it revealed the 7-colored nail embedded in his bones. In an instant, the 7-colored light covered the entire cave. Shu Liguo licked his lips as he looked at Wang Lin and thought, the fiend is indeed a fiend. Not only is he ruthless to others, he's also ruthless to himself. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin clenched his teeth, reached for the 7-colored nail, and mercilessly pulled with a roar. Intense pain came over his body. Wang Lin let out a muffled groan and sweat soaked his clothes. His body trembled and he was unable to pull it out. This nail seemed to have merged with his bone. It was impossible to tell it wasn't part of it. What was even more strange was that the 7-colored light seemed to have entered his bone. The bone of his right shoulder seemed to have become 7-colored. Wang Lin's face was pale. The moment the 7-colored light entered his body, his mind went blank. There was a hint of him going mad. Although this feeling disappeared in just a moment, it made Wang Lin gasp. At that moment, the madness was completely out of his control. It was as if his mind had fallen down many layers of hell and was sealed inside. He was no longer himself. Looking at his right shoulder, the 7-colored nail had shrunk by half. Wang Lin stared at the 7-colored nail. He had a feeling that if the nail disappeared completely, his bones would turn completely 7-colored. At that time, the madness wouldn't just be for a moment, but permanent. What kind of magic treasure is this? The wound on Wang Lin's right shoulder quickly healed and disappeared, covering up the 7-colored nail. After silently looked at the healing wound, Wang Lin closed his eyes and his origin soul began to struggle. Since he couldn't take it out using external force, he was going to try using his origin energy and ancient god power to force it out. Time passed and another 3 days went by. Wang Lin opened his eyes. With his cultivation level, he could only suppress it. He couldn't force out the 7-colored light, much less the nail. If I can only suppress it, then it is not the end. Now I just need help. If there are enough helpers, I should be able to force the 7 colors in the nail out. Wang Lin silently looked at the jade bottle. This was Master Ashen Pine's ultimate goal for coming to the 7-colored realm. Holding the bottle, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out. The bottle was half filled with black liquid. It looked like blood, but didn't give off the smell of blood. Once I obtain Master Ashen Pine's origin soul, I'll know exactly what this is. If I'm not mistaken, this should be related to helping him increase his cultivation level. He put the jade bottle in his clothes, stood up, and looked at the life and death restriction at the entrance of the cave. Then he looked at the woman in silver. You know the life and death restriction? The woman in silver pondered. After a long time, she whispered, There are some memories. Open the restriction. Wang Lin nodded slightly. The woman in silver walked next to the entrance of the cave, and her jade-like hand gently slapped it. The restriction slowly dissipated, and not a trace of it remained. Wang Lin didn't ask and waved his sleeves. Shu Liguo was about to speak, but before he could open his mouth, he was put into the storage space along with the woman in silver. After leaving the cave, Wang Lin took a deep breath as he endured the pain in his right shoulder and rushed out. He wasn't going to the depths of the 7-colored realm, but the outer mountain range beyond the valley. That place was filled with mountain peaks with fierce fog beasts. These fierce beasts were the helpers Wang Lin had thought of. He quickly flew through many valleys as he traveled along the path he came, heading toward the outer region of the 7-colored realm. Soon, he saw the tunnel leading to outside and looked up. His eyes lit up as he stared at the dense fog at the peak. He carefully went over the plan in his head, and then revealed a decisive gaze. Although this trip was dangerous, if it could force out the 7-colored nail, it would all be worth it. Let's see how strong my ancient god body is. Wang Lin's body turned into a ray of light and shot at the peak of the mountain. Before he got close, a roar came from the fog and a giant 1,000-foot-tall eagle rushed out from the fog. It roared as it shot at Wang Lin, and the fog followed it. It was too fast and instantly closed in. The eagle charged and rammed into Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't T-dodge. He used his body to resist it instead. The person and eagle quickly closed in and collided with each other. There was a thunderous rumble and Wang Lin took several steps back. He didn't even try to reduce the impact, and all the force rushed into his right shoulder. This caused the 7-color glow from his right shoulder to intensify until it penetrated his skin. From away, it looked like Wang Lin was covered in 7-colored light. The eagle beast let out an angry roar and was also knocked back. It circled once in the sky and rushed at Wang Lin once more. Wang Lin's mind trembled, but he didn't stop. He charged at the fog once more. At this moment, as the roar echoed, another eagle rushed out from the fog. This one was also 1,000 feet tall, and the two eagles formed 2 rays of black light that shot at Wang Lin. Popping sounds echoed, and Wang Lin felt like countless mountains were smashing into him. His face became even more pale and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes became brighter. These two fierce beasts were both rank 12, and their impact was extremely powerful. However, Wang Lin passed all the impact to his right shoulder. Even if his body got seriously injured, he was going to force the 7-colored light out no matter what. Half his body was covered in 7-colored light. With Wang Lin's method, it was as if the two eagle beasts were helping him force the 7-colored light out. As the 7-colored light flashed, it gathered toward his right shoulder. There was a flash of black light as the two eagle beasts continued to attack Wang Lin's body. His injuries became worse and blood flew out from his mouth, but his face was filled with ecstasy. As long as the root wasn't injured, an ancient god body could immediately recover. Even if he were to sustain serious injuries, Wang Lin wouldn't care as long as he could force the 7-colored nail out. He rushed toward the top of the mountain. At this moment, Wang Lin's body had reached its limit. The 7-colored light on his right shoulder had all condensed back into the 7-colored nail. Under these continuous blows, the nail seemed to have loosened and was showing signs of being pushed out. Just at this moment, another roar came from the top of the mountain and a third eagle flew out. It turned into a ray of light and mercilessly slammed into Wang Lin's chest. Wang Lin's body trembled, and the powerful impact caused his already injured body feel like it was going to collapse, but his eyes were filled with joy. He let out a laugh as his right shoulder burst open and blood flew everywhere. The 7-colored nail was inside that blood. Thank you all for the support, especially for the large golden gifts from Leo. Leo is so touched he could cry. By the end of this month, Leo's video is facing a challenge in the popular rankings. Hoping to get more likes for the video. Chapter 1196. Sima Mo's Secret. Wang Lin grabbed the 7-colored nail and rapidly retreated with the help of the impact. He fell to the bottom of the mountain. The 3 eagle beasts roared as they chased. They were like 3 rays of black light. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to rush into the tunnel. He endured the intense pain from his body and charged ahead. The eagle beast roars echoed in Wang Lin's ears, but they didn't enter the tunnel. They circled outside the tunnel with ferocious gazes. After a long time, they slowly returned to the top of the mountain and turned into fog once more. Wang Lin found a hidden place in the tunnel and sat down. After placing a large amount of restrictions, he took out pills. He swallowed them and then began to cultivate. His body had been seriously injured, but the ancient god body not only had power, it also unimaginable recovery. After several hours, his injuries were healing. However, Wang Lin didn't leave. He sat there and continued to cycle the ancient god energy to every part of the body. While he was healing, his origin energy was rapidly moving through his body. Without the 7-colored nail, there was nothing stopping Wang Lin from recovering. Time quickly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 2 more days went by. Wang Lin opened his eyes, and they shined like lightning in the dark tunnel. He stood up and moved his body. All his injuries had almost healed. His origin soul was no longer weakened, and the origin energy in his body had all recovered over the past 2 days of cultivating. He had reached his peak once more. Even if Master Ashen Pine wasn't injured, he could battle Master Ashen Pine again. In a flash, Wang Lin charged out through the passage and appeared in the valley. He took a deep breath and thought of the dangers he had just faced. Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the seven-colored nail appeared in his palm. He still had lingering fear towards this nail. He was lucky that he had the body of an ancient god, which prevented the nail from making his bone become seven-colored instantly. This helped delay the madness, or else the consequences would have been unimaginable. It was also thanks to his ancient god body that he could suffer serious injuries to borrow outside force to force the nail out. If it was any other cultivator, they wouldn't be able to do this. Even if they were late-stage nirvana shatterer cultivators, without the body of an ancient god, they would still die to this seven-colored nail. This item is definitely not ordinary. Not only did it break the iron sword, it also pierced my body. I fear if not for the iron sword blocking it a bit, it would have directly penetrated my bones and turned them into seven-colored light in an instant. Wang Lin stared at the seven-colored nail in his hand. His divine sense spread out and he left his own mark on it. Although I lost the iron sword, I have obtained this even more aggressive seven-colored nail. This will become my ace in the future. With this, even late-stage nirvana shatterer cultivators will die. While pondering, Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void, took out Pang Dekai's ring, and placed it on his left thumb. The defense of this treasure was excellent, and it could be considered good protection here. Then he took out something else. It was the short sword that was stabbed into the beast bone in that cave. Unfortunately, he couldn't open the seal on it right now, so he put it away after looking at it. The last thing he took out was the little nascent soul that belonged to Master Ashen Pine. It had become weak, but it still had a ferocious expression and roared at Wang Lin. This thing is interesting. Wang Lin spat out a mouthful of origin energy and surrounded it with it. Then he swallowed it and left it to refine in his origin soul. This thing seemed like a nascent soul but also like a treasure. It was really strange. Although Wang Lin didn't know where it came from, it didn't hinder him from refining it. He was going to refine it with his origin soul and wipe off Master Ashen Pine's mark. Then it would belong to Wang Lin, and he could study it at that time. Although both Master Ashen Pine and I ended up seriously injured and I suffered heavy losses, I also gained a lot. The jade bottle with the black liquid, the seven-colored nail, the blood nascent soul, and the crystal sword. Wang Lin waved his hand, and the trident appeared in his grasp. He shook it, and a small crystal sword flew out. When he grabbed the sword, the aura of an pseudo-nirvana void treasure appeared. Although it couldn't match the iron sword, its power wasn't ordinary. After sorting his treasures, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. From all the treasures Master Ashen Pine had, it wasn't difficult for Wang Lin to guess that this seven-colored realm had a lot of treasures. Most of Master Ashen Pine's treasures must have come from here, especially those beads that could summon spells. This is a treasure trove. If Master Ashen Pine can obtain treasures, so can I. The battle in the future will depend on who can obtain the stronger treasures and pills to increase our cultivation levels. Wang Lin licked his lips and charged into the valley ahead. This first goal was Sima Mo's cave from Pang Dekai's memories. In Pang Dekai's memories, after they found Sima Mo's cave, they didn't open it completely and instead just opened a part of it. This time they were prepared to obtain the soul beasts and refine them into pills. Once their cultivation levels increased, they were going to break open Sima Mo's cave completely. A cave that hasn't been completely opened and is still intact. Wang Lin quickly moved based on Pang Dekai's memories. He quickly moved through the valley, but he didn't trigger a single restriction. This place was extremely vast, and the valley was filled with restrictions. Most of the restrictions had collapsed, and even if the valley had any caves, they were empty. After one day, Wang Lin stopped outside a valley. This valley was very ordinary, but when he closed his eyes, he felt a gloomy intent enter his mind. The valley was filled with weeds and there were signs of restrictions being destroyed. This was the location of Sima Mo's cave from Pang Dekai's memories. After carefully observing this place, Wang Lin walked forward. When he got near the entrance to the valley, he stopped and deduction filled his eyes. A moment later, his right hand formed a seal and shot out a restriction ahead. In an instant, the valley trembled as if a picture was torn apart before Wang Lin and blown away. Things changed before him. The originally ordinary-looking valley beamed purple and the weeds on the ground were replaced by black soil. Even the entrance was different. A black light prevented people from moving forward. There were 2 layers of restrictions on this valley. The first layer was an illusion. No matter how hard one tried, they would ultimately never be able to enter the cave inside. What Pang Dekai and company were cracking was the first layer. However, in Wang Lin's eyes, with his understanding of restrictions, he immediately saw through it. He raised his hand to make the second layer appear, and revealed the true appearance of this cave. Staring at the black light, Wang Lin revealed a wry smile. This black light was the same as the one protecting the place where Master Ashen Pine went to get the bottle. Both were time restrictions. He placed his right hand on the light and pondered for a bit. With his understanding of restrictions, he could calculate that this restriction was nearly 20,000 years old. Although it couldn't be compared to the one around the jade bottle, it would still be difficult to crack unless he was willing to sacrifice treasures and open it by force. Looking at the black light, Wang Lin began to ponder. Shortly after, his eyes lit up and his right hand moved. A jade immediately appeared in his hand. This was the jade he got on the wild continent that belonged to Sima Mo. I obtained Sima Mo's relics on the wild continent, and here I see Sima Mo's cave. Interesting. Wang Lin's expression didn't reveal joy or anger. Holding the jade, he slowly pushed it toward the black light. At this moment, the light violently fluctuated and countless ripples appeared on it. Eventually, the light gathered toward the jade in Wang Lin's hand. Then, with a bang, the black light that couldn't be opened began to dissipate with the jade as the center, and a passage opened up. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he pondered a bit. He then stepped into the opening, and after he entered, the crack closed. Then the ripples dissipated and everything returned to normal. An illusion appeared over it once more. The purple valley returned to normal and the black soil once again was covered in weeds. Everything returned back to how it was before Wang Lin arrived. After passing through the black light, what appeared before Wang Lin was a green, grassy valley. This valley wasn't too big, only about 1,000 feet wide. There were 9 caves on the mountain surrounding the valley, and each one of them was sealed with a rock. There was a skeleton in the meadow in the valley. It was sitting on the ground, leaning against the wall of the valley in front of Wang Lin. Its head was lowered and its right forefinger was pointing at the ground. There were 3 jades placed before his body. Wang Lin silently looked at the skeleton, and his pupils shrank. The skeleton's bones gave off a faint 7-colored light glow. He slowly walked up to the skeleton before squatting down and carefully examining it. Then he picked up the first jade and his divine sense entered it. I didn't think I'd return here back then. My uncle master and I, and many of my fellow sect members found that mysterious spatial crack according to his request. This crack was very strange, but it was filled with 7-colored light. It was very beautiful. Junior sister was very fond of this 7-colored, and I promised her I'd take the 7-color light back for her. We entered the crack and entered this horrible nightmare. It was just that back then I didn't foresee any of this. We entered the deepest part of this place and found a terrifying existence. This secret could shock the entire cultivation world, not just my cloud sea but also all heaven, summon river and brilliant void. However, it was too late. We destroyed our hope with our own hands. Our sinners teacher kicked us out of the sect. I know he had no other choice. I left with my sect members and became lost in the fog of the cloud sea. Looking at the fog, I felt fear because of that secret. I didn't expect that immeasurable calamity would return in our moment of despair. We escaped once only to return here. Perhaps I won't be able to leave this place again. Is this fair? I believe in fate, and I gave in to fate. As time goes on, a heavy dizziness is setting in. My mind can't cope. Tomorrow I will continue to burst forth with all my might. In 12 hours that will be doubling the likes for the video, hoping that everyone is ready with 2 likes for Leo. Thank you. Chapter 1197. Sovereign. 1. Wang Lin held the jade and his divine sense carefully swept past it. It has been 3 years. Second brother is dead and third brother is also dead. They became lost ones and wandered here. I saw them 4 days ago. But they no longer recognize me and just walk past me. I can let things continue. I must find a way. This is the 6th year since I came here, and I found a jade. It contains a restriction called time restriction. I must learn it. Uncle Master left. He went into the depths of this place. He told me a voice had called him. This is the 11th year since I came here. I managed to grasp a bit of the time restriction. How much time has passed? It must have been at least 30 years. The enlightened ones attacked once more, and I clearly saw Uncle Master among them. They took away 5th brother and 6th brother. I have finally mastered the time restriction. I and the remnants of my sect set a giant time restriction in valley. Ninth brother sacrificed his life to reinforce the time of this restriction. Before he died, he made me promise him that I would take his remains back to the heaven-breaking sect I promised. But can I do it? The time restriction has protected the valley, and the valley has become my home. However, I didn't find the warmth of home. I only saw familiar faces gradually become unfamiliar. I can continue like this. I must find a way. I'm going to save them. Wang Lin silently pondered as he looked at the skeleton before him. The contents of the jade ended. He looked at the second jade and picked it up. His divine sense entered it. It has been 100 years. There is no night or day, so I can accurately calculate the time here. However, by judging the power of the time restriction, it should have been 100 years. Just why do I feel like 1,000 years have passed? 13th brother destroyed his own body and died. He couldn't bear this kind of existence any longer. The people around me have become lost ones or enlightened ones. Only me, brother, and fourth uncle remain. I know we are sinners, and perhaps this is our punishment. However, I'm unwilling to yield. I want to yield. Today is a day I will never forget. It has been more than 130 years since I came here, and this was the first time the defying ones appeared. Fourth uncle turned into a defying one. They were all gone. Only 16th brother and I remain. However, I thought of a method to save them. I must try, even if it means death. I said goodbye to 30th brother and left the valley. I brought back second brother and third brother. Along with everyone else that became lost ones, I entered the depths of the mountain and found fifth brother and sixth brother, who became enlightened ones, and brought them back. I then went into the depths of this place. I was very familiar with the path there. I found second uncle and brought him back. The jade ended here. Wang Lin stared at the jade as he put it down. He pondered about the contents for a long time and then picked up the third jade. I have already been here for more than 300 years and have gone to all the places I can go. I found a bead that could seal the spells of defying ones. I don't know what they are exactly, but in order to save fourth uncle, I searched a majority of the places and found a few more beads. That was the fourth time I went into the depths of this place. I knew that it was here that fourth uncle faced those powerful defying ones. I used the beads to seal all their spells. I searched for a few years before I finally found fourth uncle at S. Just I didn't expect him to be there. So I failed a 7-colored nail pierced into my body. This nail was very strange. It immediately melted inside my body. I finally escaped and returned to the valley in a blur. My consciousness gradually faded, and an insane idea kept appearing in my mind. This insane idea wanted me to kill all living creatures I could see at S, just that the only other living thing here besides me was the brother. I drove the brother out of the valley. I gave my identity token and beast bone to him. I made him leave the valley and told him to come back in 10 years. 16th brother left. I sat in the valley, looking up at the 7-colored sky, waiting for the final madness to come. Second brother, third brother, and all my fellow sect members, if any of you awaken and see my jades, you will know what happened in those hundreds of years. Also, I have collected a lot of those strange beads. I vaguely found some clues about them. These stone beads are not natural. They were refined by someone. There was no difference between their size, weight, or surface. It is as if someone came here and used a special spell to make these beads a long time ago. My consciousness became blurred, but I had a feeling something was pulling at my origin soul. I don't know why, but at that moment, my consciousness became clear, and a crazy idea emerged in my head. Maybe I should do it if I succeed. I want to go crazy. I will be reborn. My consciousness seemed to leave my body and extended into the starry sky. I saw a person. A middle-aged man in a black robe with a round mark between his eyebrows. He said that his name was Sovereign. Wang Lin's face turned pale, and he sucked in a breath of cold air. He subconsciously took a few steps back and stared at the jade in his hand and the skeleton. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Sovereign Wang Lin wasn't unfamiliar with this name. In Qinglin's cave, he learned that outside the sealed realm, there was a powerful existence called the Sovereign. However, at that moment, the Sovereign was a faraway existence, a powerhouse from Qinglin's era. A long time had passed since then. However, Wang Lin didn't expect to find a jade with information about the Sovereign in the Cloud Sea Star system, in this 7-colored world, in this valley. Wang Lin closed his eyes and couldn't help but think back to when Qing Shui was battling the Moongazer serpent. He had collapsed the void, resulting in those two mysterious cultivators showing up. Those two people were residents of the outer realm. If not for the heaven-defying bead appearing, he would have been captured by them. Back when the old man saw the heaven-defying bead, he called me the sovereign of the sealed realm. Wang Lin opened his eyes and let out a deep breath. His mind was like the raging sea after learning of the information inside the jade. He couldn't calm down for a long time. This seven-colored realm is related to the ulcer, and also the sovereign, especially these seven-colored nails that can make one go crazy and kill all living things. Senior brother Qing Shui said that before the celestial realm collapsed, he was in closed-door cultivation when he suddenly went mad. Even he himself doesn't know why all of this was related to going mad. Also, the old vermilion bird divine emperor said that after senior brother Qing Shui went to the cultivation alliance, he went crazy again. What kind of secret is behind all of this? It must be related to that sovereign. Ulcer, Qing Shui, Sima Mo, sovereign Wang Lin silently pondered. After a long time, he let out a sigh and looked at Sima Mo's skeleton with a complicated expression. There was no trace of destruction around Sima Mo, meaning he didn't go crazy in the end. Since he didn't go crazy, then that idea related to the sovereign had succeeded. I didn't think this would be the spatial crack that the heaven-breaking sect found back then. It is also where the beast bone pill recipe appeared. However, how did the beast bone and jade leave this place? Could it be that the TS brothers somehow left this place, causing the jade and beast bone to appear in the cloud sea once more? Then there is the person that was mentioned in the jade. Who is he? According to Sima Mo, the heaven-breaking sect didn't know of this place back then. They came here because of that person's words, and hundreds of years later, Sima Mo unexpectedly saw that mysterious person again. Wang Lin rubbed his temples. The more he learned, the more confused he became. He raised his head and looked at the 9 caves sealed by rocks. Wang Lin arrived next to the first cave and looked at the rock. His eyes lit up and looked at it for a very long time before he placed his right hand on it. His origin energy gently entered the rock. The rock made a rumbling sound as it was moved to the side. The moment the cave was opened, the smell, time, and decay flew out. This cave was very small, only 100 feet wide. There was a gray light, and 10 beads the size of a baby's fist floated inside the light. Every single bead contained a faint rune and was flashing. However, they were giving off a gray light that was hard to see. If you weren't careful, it was easy to miss. After seeing the beads, Wang Lin's mind trembled. He immediately recognized them as what Master Ashen Pine had used to summon the spells of the Defying Ones. The contents of the jades are indeed true. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his right hand reached out, and one of the beads flew into his grasp. His divine sense spread out, and he carefully observed it. Wang Lin's expression changed greatly. It was as if countless bolts of thunder had exploded in his mind. When Master Ashen Pine took out the beads, he was very fast, and it was inconvenient for Wang Lin to try to get a closer look, because it would distract him from the battle. Wang Lin had only taken a glance and didn't get a closer look, but now he could clearly examine them. Heaven-defying bead. 1. I previous translated the name to Supreme, but found Sovereign much better fit after talking with people. The second watch has come. So thankful for the praise from the new clan leader. Last night Leo started from the starting point, immediately saw a new follower. I'm ecstatic. Thank you, everyone. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1198, Pill. Wang Lin's origin soul trembled as he stared at the bead in his hand. The heaven-defying bead had accompanied him almost all his life, so he couldn't be wrong. Regardless of the size, weight, and even aura, this was exactly the same as the heaven-defying bead. The only difference was that the bead didn't have the 5 elements pattern, only a faint, blurred pattern. I have collected a lot of those strange beads. These stone beads are not natural, they were refined by someone. There was no difference between their size, weight, or surface. It is as if someone came here and used a special spell to make these beads a long time ago. The information inside the jade echoed in Wang Lin's mind. His rough breathing gradually calmed down. These beads were made from trying to imitating the heaven-defying bead. Someone was here trying to produce the heaven-defying bead a long time ago. After a long time, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. This person must have seen the heaven-defying bead, or even had it in his possession to be able to make something so similar. Wang Lin touched the spot between his eyebrows and his eyes lit up. It must take great courage to want to refine the heaven-defying bead. Could this person also be the sovereign? Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. He had a feeling that he and the sovereign from the outer realm would cross paths in the near future. Perhaps the people of the outer realm already know of my existence. After all, that old man from the outer realm didn't die. A chill crept up in Wang Lin's heart. After pondering for a long time, Wang Lin waved his sleeves and collected all 10 beads. He checked them and felt the fluctuations of a spell within each one. It seemed they all contained a spell inside. Their beads are all failures, or else they wouldn't be randomly discarded here. For some reason, these failed beads conceal spells. Wang Lin pondered as he left his own mark on the beads and put them in his storage space. His gaze swept through the first cave. After finding nothing more, he walked out. Entering and exiting the cave made Wang Lin feel a mountain of pressure descend on him, and his expression became extremely gloomy. In particular, he thought of his previous battle with Master Ashen Pine. The spell he had used to summon the seventh spirit of the realm was very similar to the spell the outsiders used. What is the identity of this Master Ashen Pine? Wang Lin walked away from the cave and looked up at the seven-colored sky outside. He remembered that back in the void, where he first encountered the people from the outer realm, there was also seven-colored light coming from the outer realm. The more he came in contact with and understood this place, the more confused he felt about it. He silently withdrew his gaze and arrived at the second cave. He waves his sleeve, causing the rock to move, and exposed the inside of the cave. A giant pill furnace occupied more than half of the room, and it was surrounded by a large amount of herbs. However, they were mostly dried out, and there were storage bags laying around. It had been a very long time. The ground was covered in dust, and if you wiped the pill furnace, you would leave a mark in the dust. Opening the bags one by one, Wang Lin was moved. These bags were all filled with herbs, and the amount was unimaginable. After exiting the cave, Wang Lin walked toward the third cave. There were restrictions left on the door blocking the third cave, but they weren't a time restriction. After carefully examining them for a long time, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and restrictions fell on the rock. Popping sounds echoed and the rock slowly moved to the side. In the third cave, there was a circular formation, and there were origin crystals on the edges that were keeping the formation active. There were 3 bottles floating in the formation. They seemed to be getting nourished by the origin crystals. Although the formation was still active, a lot of the origin crystals had been dried since a long time ago. There was barely enough to keep the formation active. After looking at the 3 bottles, Wang Lin walked forward and looked at the formation. He didn't act recklessly. This formation contained a hint of the time restriction. Although it was faint, it was enough to increase the power of this formation. More importantly, Wang Lin saw through the formation. The effect of the formation was to keep the pills at the moment of completion so they wouldn't be affected by the passage of time, and to protect them. If they were opened by force, the pills inside would be immediately destroyed. Frowning, Wang Lin sat down. He hadn't even checked the rest of the cave when deduction shined in his eyes. The light in his eyes became bright, and he lifted his hand to reach at the void. A piece of origin crystal flew out from his storage space. Holding the origin crystal, Wang Lin squeezed it and it collapsed. When the origin energy surged out, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal, and he took full control of the origin energy. He then pointed at the edge of the formation, and the origin energy surged into the ground. As Wang Lin waved his hand in the air, the origin energy formed a diamond formation on the ground. Then he waved his right hand, causing a thin line to extend from the diamond formation and connect with the formation inside the cave. After doing all of this, Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his hand quickly reached into the formation and tried to grab the 3 bottles. Just at this instant, the formation gave off a powerful light and lit up the whole room. A destructive aura appeared and was about to charge at the bottles. However, at this moment, the destructive aura paused. The powerful light seemed to be guided into the diamond formation by the thin line. During this pause, Wang Lin grabbed the 3 bottles and withdrew his hand. He retreated and left the cave in the blink of an eye. He appeared on the grass and sat down. As Wang Lin looked at the 3 bottles, his heart pounded. He had taken a big risk just then. If he had made the slightest mistake, the 3 bottles would have shattered. The pills inside would have been destroyed too. These pills were left here by Sima Mo and his sect. Being stored like this means they must be very valuable. Wang Lin licked his lips and opened the first bottle. A pill fragrance came from inside the bottle, and there were 3 red pills inside. A fierce fluctuation of beast soul came from them and filled the area. Even Wang Lin's origin soul was attracted. He pulled out one pill and held it between his fingers. He carefully examined it. Rank 11 pill? Wang Lin vaguely identified it. He pondered a bit before picking up the second bottle. The moment he opened the bottle, a large amount of fog came out. The fog was divided into 2 parts, black and white. They eventually split and floated into the air. There was a pill inside each of the 2 clouds of fog. A fog soul pill refined from a rank 12 fog beast. Wang Lin's eyes revealed ecstasy. He vaguely recognized the rank 11 pills, but this was an extremely rare pill refined from rank 12 fog beasts. These were very rare in the Cloud Sea, and they had a distinct characteristic that could be easily recognized. The reason the fog pill was so rare was because very few people were willing to give up the long-term benefits of a fog beast and use the fog beast they had captured to refine pills. Wang Lin licked his lips and his gaze fell on the last bottle. When his divine sense swept this bottle, he couldn't find any clues. After pondering a bit, he slowly pulled the cork from the bottle. The moment a small opening appeared, an unimaginable fluctuation rushed out like crazy. A fierce roar that couldn't be heard but was clearly felt by one's origin soul echoed. This roar was far stronger than a rank 12 beast and was earth-shattering. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he didn't hesitate to reseal the bottle. All of this happened in a flash. After sealing the bottle, Wang Lin's face was pale. He cultivated for a moment, and then looked at the bottle with a serious expression. Rank 13 pill. Wang Lin took a deep breath and carefully put away 2 of the bottles, leaving behind the first bottle. He picked it up and walked toward the cave with the furnace. Only after reaching the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer could one devour a rank 11 pill, or else their origin soul couldn't combat the fierce beast soul. The result would only be having one's origin soul devoured by the beast soul. This was something every cultivator in the Cloud Sea knew. Although pills could help increase your cultivation level, you had to be extremely cautious. Wang Lin's actual cultivation level, ignoring his ancient god body, was only early-stage Nirvana Cleanser. He couldn't devour a rank 11 pill directly, so he needed to refine it again. In the cave with the pill furnace, Wang Lin pondered a bit, and fire flashed in his left eye. Fire immediately appeared and rushed into the pill furnace. The furnace trembled and the markings on it slowly activated. Taking out a rank 11 pill, Wang Lin placed it inside the pill furnace. His right hand patted the void, causing the fire inside the furnace to surge and refine the pill. 2-time refining was an alchemy method that all Cloud Sea cultivators had to learn. This was a method of refining a higher-level pill to split its power. This method had a great relationship with the furnace. The better the furnace, the less effectiveness was lost. While Wang Lin was refining the pill, deep within the 7-colored realm, far beyond where Master Ashen Pine was, there was a place covered in fog that made it impossible to see anything. There was an altar here shrouded in fog. At this moment, a bright light flashed from the altar. The light penetrated the surrounding fog and pushed it back, revealing an empty area. A large crack silently appeared above the altar. Countless lightning bolts appeared along the edges of the crack, tearing it wider, and then 3 people walked out. These people's clothes were clearly different from what the people of the Cloud Sea wore. What was even more bizarre was that they all had a mark between their eyebrows. The man in front had a lightning bolt between his eyebrows. As for the 2 behind him, one youth had a crescent moon mark, and the last one had a flame mark. This is the spatial crack you found. The youth with the crescent moon mark between his eyebrows looked around with excitement in his eyes. The new chapter is late, but it has over 500 more words than the previous ones. I hope not to be hit. Wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter, Seeking Tao. The moment the people arrived in the 7-colored realm, the 7-colored fog around Master Ashen Pine slowly closed in until it was completely wrapped around his origin soul. Strands of white lightning came from the statue and entered the 7-colored fog to fuse with his origin soul. Master Ashen Pine's body unexpectedly began to recondense until it was corporeal. His body gave off more flashes of lightning and a faint lightning mark appeared between his eyebrows. He suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a gloomy glaze. He forced this old man to do this. If I don't get revenge, I am not human. He leaped forward and turned into a bolt of lightning as he charged ahead. He pierced through the fog and flew toward the mountains. That cultivator named Lu was hurt by my 7-colored nail, so even if he didn't die, he is dying. I just don't know where he is hiding, however. It doesn't matter. If I want to know, I can easily find out. Master Ashen Pine sneered, and his right hand reached at the void. The crack to his storage space opened, and a bead flew out. Summoned Defying One, Master Ashen Pine bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood onto the bead. The bead began to absorb 7-colored light and then collapsed. At the moment it collapsed, a powerful aura appeared, and a blurry shadow appeared in the world. It was impossible to see what the appearance of this person was, but his eyes were clear, as if he could see through the heavens. Nothing could escape his eyes, and if he looked at you, you would feel naked, as if all your secrets had been exposed. Master Ashen Pine asked the blurry figure, "Where is he?" The blurry figure closed his eyes, and after a long time he opened his eyes and looked at Master Ashen Pine. Master Ashen Pine trembled and several images appeared in his head. After he saw those images, he frowned. Simamos Cave. He was able to break the cave's restriction while seriously injured. There was a flash of coldness in Master Ashen Pine's eyes, and he charged ahead. In the valley Simamos Cave was in, Wang Lin didn't put all his energy into alchemy. He also cleared up the first cave. After laying down large number of restrictions and expanding the cave, he released the mosquito beast. The Mosquito King was even more ferocious. After flying out, its cold eyes looked at Wang Lin with determination. Its mind was linked with Wang Lin's, so it already knew Wang Lin's plan. It let out a soft hiss. After silently pondering for a moment, Wang Lin waved his right hand and the Mosquito King was pulled into the restriction in the cave. With enough origin crystals, it will be fine. Wang Lin took out large amount of beast souls he had gathered, and also took out the mutated beast soul he had created in the cave in the origin sect. Then he put in tens of thousands of origin crystal and sealed it shut. Ella used the 5 poison sect's method to refine mutated beast souls to forcibly raise the mosquito beast's strength so it can transform into a stronger Mosquito King. Only then can it control the large amount of mosquito beasts in the wind celestial realm. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out into the cave. He clearly saw the purple mosquito beast rush aggressively toward each beast soul. It fought and devoured them. At the same time, the origin crystals turned into dense origin energy through the restriction and entered the mosquito beast's body. After leaving a strand of divine sense in the cave to keep an eye on it, Wang Lin pondered for a bit and then went to the pill furnace. Wang Lin sat down beside the pill furnace. He constantly manipulated the fire and refined the pill. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 2 days went by. The fire gradually disappeared, and the fragrance of the pill filled the room. Wang Lin's expression was calm as his right hand reached out. The lid of the pill furnace flew off, and a large amount of fog rushed out. The fog gradually disappeared, and a pool of golden liquid floated in the air. Under Wang Lin's control, the liquid flew toward him and was stored in 3 small bottles. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin looked at the black light restriction around the valley and picked up a small bottle before taking a small sip of the liquid. The moment the liquid entered his body, it immediately turned into a cool feeling that spread through his body. He could vaguely feel the roar of a beast echo. Wang Lin closed his eyes and began to slowly comprehend the beast's comprehension of the heavens. Under this strange state, Wang Lin forgot time as his mind was lost in comprehending the heavens. It was as if he had turned into a fierce beast and experienced all the life and death struggles to survive. While he pursued Tao, he confirmed his own true and false domain as he experienced the beast's comprehension. Wang Lin was like a passerby as he constantly organized the various comprehensions. Wang Lin's surroundings seemed to become distorted and then changed. This change became even more rapid until his surroundings became unreal. After a long time, Wang Lin's right hand reached out and picked up the small bottle to take another sip. He continued to be immersed in Tao seeking and enlightenment. More and more Tao intent appeared around him. If he wanted, he could casually pick one of the fierce beast's comprehensions and use it to improve his cultivation. However, the consequences of this was that his Tao heart would be confused. After all, this was borrowing someone else's Tao and not your own comprehension. Wang Lin didn't want this kind of cultivation. What he wanted was to continue to confirm his own true and false domain while living the beast's life, to comprehend the heavens through true and false. What he took was the sliver of thought going through the beast's mind while it comprehended the heavens. That was the essence of the fierce beast's soul. This thought was vague, but a fierce beast needed this in order to help them break through and eventually reach human form. Time passed. Wang Lin had consumed the entire first bottle and continued to comprehend. The distortion around his body spread until it covered the entire valley. If anyone came at this moment, their Tao heart would become chaotic. There were too many Tao intents that Wang Lin had sorted out and given up. If there is no false, there is no truth. If there was no truth, where would false come from? True and false, there is no real need to completely differentiate them. Wang Lin picked up the second bottle and took a big gulp. His eyes were filled with enlightenment before he closed them and continued to confirm his own Tao. As the endless Tao intents were sorted out, they gradually spread out of the valley. This caused the entire valley to become distorted. This was something that couldn't be seen by the naked eye, but any cultivator above the soul formation stage could feel the Tao intents here. Every single one of them was formed by the law of the heavens. If you looked at it, it looked real, but you would find that it was false. It would become very difficult to distinguish, and once you fell into it, it would be very difficult to escape from this abyss. More and more chaotic Tao intents spread out and covered everything within a feet area. This caused even the sky to become distorted. Wang Lin had already consumed the third bottle inside the valley. He had forgotten everything as he continued to search for his Tao in this endless world. In an instant, a vague voice appeared in his mind. This voice seemed to be muttering and gradually became clearer. Enlightened, prisoner of the Tao of heaven, all sentient beings must endure immeasurable calamities. It only takes a thought to leave the deep prison. All life must walk forever forward and solve the modern age. Escape the will of heaven and obtain the path to life. Seal the will of the heavens. Engrave the dark days. Await the path of cultivation. No life knows the true Tao. The bitter abyss forever distorts the true Tao. This sentence continued to echo in his mind. Gradually, even more Tao intents spread out until they covered feet. Eventually, they covered a small portion of the seven-colored realm. Master Ashenpine was feet outside of Simamo's cave, and his face was extremely pale as he stared ahead, but he remained motionless. He had come here 2 days ago, but before he could move forward, he immediately felt the chaotic and endless Tao intents here. These Tao intents were like a giant vortex that could absorb all domains. Then, through a special method, they would bring them into Wang Lin's confirmation. The true and false domain was the second evolution of his Tao. What he seeked had already suppressed those at his cultivation level, and even those above his cultivation level. Master Ashenpine's face was pale as he sat on the ground and made his mind stable. He constantly resisted the chaotic Tao intents and the suction from the invisible vortex. He didn't notice the bald lost ones slowly walking over. They moved at a casual pace, but every step was like spatial bending. Soon they arrived, but they didn't move forward. They stood there as if they were seeking Tao. Even farther away, the enlightened ones that only floated in the fog all came out of the fog and flew toward the valley Wang Lin was in. Their muttering slowly came as well. Everything happened with the valley Wang Lin was in as the center. A Tao refinement that stirred up the entire seven-colored realm slowly occurred. As the chaotic Tao intents given up by Wang Lin increased in number, the entire seven-colored realm seemed to become twisted. The lost ones seeked Tao and their eyes became even more confused. They stared ahead and countless invisible Tao intents were absorbed by them. The enlightened ones arrived and floated in the air. The murmur that had lasted for countless years stopped. They all looked at the valley and closed their eyes. It was as if they were comprehending Wang Lin's Tao. Even those rank fog beasts all turned into different fierce beasts and didn't let out any roars. They flew across the sky and surrounded the valley. They floated in the air like the enlightened ones and comprehended Wang Lin's Tao. The end of the year is here, brothers. Give a like for Leo. Chapter: Tao Scatter. Tao. What is Tao? Wang Lin's life and death cycle, karma cycle, and true and false were all Taos he had comprehended himself or were changes in his way of thinking. From a little unknown cultivator until now, where he could stand among the strong. All of these changes were the growth Wang Lin had experienced in his life. From the life and death reincarnation cycle, he saw through life and death. This allowed him to struggle through his crisis and find life and death. This ultimately allowed his defying will to appear in his heart, and he dared to become a heaven-defying cultivator. Splitting the stars, slicing the moon, and looking down upon the heavens was the path of a heaven-defying cultivator. He had seen through life and death, so there was nothing to fear. These were all the thoughts that the life and death domain had brought Wang Lin. He had become strong because he had the intent. However, the heavens were ruthless and would force all life to obey it. It was also due to the intent of all life that countless doubts were formed for everyone to comprehend. This was the gift the heavens had given to all living beings, to give them meaning to cultivate. This was following the heavens and cultivating a smooth path. Wang Lin Wooden Tea entered this path. After life and death was karma. After Wang Lin's domain went through a metamorphosis, he was like a head scholar among mortals. He no longer cared about life and death, but pursued the true meaning of the world. Karma was like this. He saw through karmic cause and caught glimpse of karmic effect. Everything in this world had its own karma. After completing his pursuit of karma, Wang Lin's life entered a peak. As his mind evolved, his Tao heart was confirmed even more. As he went through cycles of karma, his Tao heart became even more deeply rooted. The world became different in his eyes. These heavens are not my heavens. In other people's eyes, the heavens and earth were boundless, and they didn't know where it ended. They searched the heavens and earth blindly. In Wang Lin's eyes, the boundary of the heavens and earth was no longer important. The heavens were karmic cause and earth was karmic effect. The world was a cycle of karma. He wanted to walk out of this karmic furnace. He wanted to know what was outside of this world. After reaching this step, Wang Lin had reached the limit of his domain. He was also in the circle he had drawn around Li Qianmei and Lu Yongkong. However, Xing Lin's appearance and possessing the heaven-defying bid allowed Wang Lin's karma domain to go through another metamorphosis after reaching completion. His domain evolved and he began to explore the origins of true and false. The true and false domain was a deep comprehension, and ordinary people simply weren't qualified to grasp it. This was already at the boundary of the heavenly Tao, just one step away from reaching the core. Over the countless years, it wasn't that there were no cultivators that had reached this step. It says just that there were simply too few domain determines one's cultivation level, and the depth of the domain brings drastic differences to one's power. What Wang Lin was seeking was the Grand Tao. Although it seemed the same as everyone else, due to his understanding of Tao, the path he saw had far surpassed the goals of others. The liquid formed by the 3 rank pills was consumed by Wang Lin. His comprehension didn't end and kept going. His storage space opened before him, and bottles of pills flew out. There were rank and pills inside. He had forgotten about time. While he gained enlightenment, he picked up the pills one by one. He didn't devour them. They all collapsed when they got close to his mouth. The countless Tao intents from the beast's souls merged with the vortex and were being confirmed by Wang Lin. More and more chaotic Tao intents appeared and began to spread once more. The lost ones outside the valley gradually gained a hint of clarity in their confused eyes. The enlightened ones' ethereal bodies began to turn corporeal. Those rank fierce beasts no longer gave off fierce auras while seeking Tao. Master Ashen Pine struggled to protect his mind. It was as if he could be overrun by this chaotic Tao intent at any moment. Even more Tao intent appeared outside the valley. The entire 7-colored realm seemed to be filled with the Tao intents Wang Lin had abandoned and became twisted. It was as if the countless Tao intents were colliding. As it spread, even the depths of the 7-colored realm became like this. As Wang Lin continued to become enlightened, his mind gradually flew out of his body. He saw the valley. He saw himself sitting in the valley. He saw the pills floating before him collapsing one by one. His mind slowly spread out with the valley as the center. When his mind swept past the enlightened ones, their bodies all trembled. The lost ones and the fierce beasts were like this as well. As for Master Ashen Pine, his Tao heart suddenly collapsed and his eyes became filled with confusion. None of this caught Wang Lin's interest at all. His mind continued to spread out, and he saw a burly man sitting in a cave in a mountain in the outer region. The burly man's eyes revealed panic as he stared ahead. He opened his mouth but was unable to utter a word. Even after Wang Lin's mind left, the burly man still hadn't recovered from the shock. Wang Lin's mind circled around the entire outer region and passed through all the caves before heading to the wall-like mountain range. However, along the way, he saw the restriction where the life and death restriction had fused with the annihilation restriction. He saw the pale-faced old woman in green sitting there, cultivating with her eyes closed. Her Tao heart was a mess and unexpectedly showed signs of splitting. Her appearance rapidly changed. Sometimes she was old, sometimes she was ancient, and sometimes she was middle-aged. The old woman didn't cause Wang Lin to stop. He continued into the mountain covered in fog. The fog wasn't able to stop him at all, and inside he saw two mountains surrounded in restrictions. The time restriction also wasn't able to stop Wang Lin's mind. On the first mountain, there was nothing but a stone tablet. There was nothing on the stone tablet, but it gave off an ancient aura. However, in Wang Lin's eyes, the ancient aura gradually disappeared. The entire stone tablet was like a treasure. As Wang Lin's mind spread out, he went to the second mountain protected by the time restriction. There he saw a towering statue and a giant stone gate halfway up the mountain. There was a lightning mark on the gate. His mind went through the stone gate and he saw orbs of 7 colored light. There were bee-souls sealed within from rank to rank. Inside this cave, he saw a young girl that looked similar to the old woman. Her face was ashen and she looked dead, but her body was trembling. Wang Lin also saw that there was a hidden space at the peak, and inside he saw the tablet again. He also saw the skeleton that was pinned against the tablet with 2 7-colored nails. At this moment his mind was attracted by the skeleton and landed on the countless words carved on the skeleton. It was as if thunder had exploded in Wang Lin's mind. His originally calm mind suddenly became disturbed, and a drastic change occurred. His mind gathered on the skeleton and the text was engraved in his heart. Their words were exactly the same words that echoed in his mind. Await the path of cultivation. Wang Lin's mind fluctuated for an unknown amount of time, and then left this place confused. He went deeper into this fog-covered land, and for the first time entered the depths of the 7-colored realm. There was also fog there, but it was even more dense. However, this still couldn't stop Wang Lin's mind. He saw 3 youths wearing strange clothes. The youth with the crescent moon mark, he had seen this person before. The youth with the lightning mark softly said, "This place is very mysterious. What makes it even more strange is that I can feel the aura of my Flash Thunder Clan's ancestor." The youth with the flame mark between his eyebrows behind him rubbed his temples. He had a gloomy expression as he softly said, "It is indeed very strange. After entering here, I can feel something calling me in my heart. Also, I feel like my ancestral mark is going to leave my body." The last youth with the crescent moon mark was cautiously looking around and his eyes lit up. Just as he was about to speed up, his expression changed greatly. Wang Lin's mind swept by the 3 youths. At this moment, it was as if a bolt of lightning had struck the youth with the lightning mark between his eyebrows. The lightning mark began to flash violently. The youth with the crescent moon mark also trembled as if he had thought of something, but he wasn't sure. His face was pale and a huge wave was set off in his heart. The most shocked was the youth with the flame mark. The moment Wang Lin's mind swept by, he felt like he had lost all the strength in his body. An unspeakable fear washed over his body, and the flame mark began to burn as if it wanted to burn his body into ashes. It was fortunate that this feeling only lasted for a moment. When Wang Lin's mind passed, the pain disappeared. After a long time, the 3 looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. "What a powerful mind," the youth with the lightning mark gasped. "It must be an ancestor from my Fire Sparrow clan. That mind just now contained was certainly one of my clan's ancestors, or else my mark wouldn't have reacted like this." The youth with the flame mark was pale, but his eyes were filled with greed. Only the last person, the youth with the crescent moon mark, remained silent. He pondered. There was fear hidden in his eyes. The moment Wang Lin's mind passed by, he recalled that nightmarish scene he refused to remember. Could it be him? Not possible. How could he appear here? The youth's body trembled. The youth with the flame mark licked his lips and slowly said, "Although this person's mind is strong, if the 3 of us open the seal, we still stand a chance. I hope the 2 of you will help me. The last 2 days of the month are upon us, wishing for the like button for the video. Right now, it's about doubling the likes for the video. Very grateful and will return the favor." Chapter 1201. Guardian. Wang Lin's mind moved past the 3 youths and went into the distance. Soon, he saw a mountain peak. This towering mountain had no restrictions around it, and even the fog stayed away, as if it were afraid to get close. Wang Lin's mind arrived, but when he was about to enter, an extremely powerful divine sense rushed out. This divine sense collided with Wang Lin's mind. A silent roar echoed in Wang Lin's mind. His originally confused thoughts instantly became sober. It has been a long time since I've seen such pure domain. A gloomy divine sense message came from the mountain, and at this moment, an even more powerful divine sense swept toward Wang Lin. At this moment, the world changed colors and even the seven-colored light retreated. The divine sense turned into a hand and mercilessly tried to grab Wang Lin's mind. However, the moment it reached over, Wang Lin's mind quickly withdrew. The surroundings became unreal, as if the entire world was becoming blurry. A surprise sound came from the void, and at the same time, a white-haired old man walked out from the peak. He looked at the void and rushed forward. He then raised his right hand and slammed forward. There was thunderous echo and Wang Lin's mind trembled. All the illusions collapsed and dissipated completely. You dare to use mere illusions before his old man. Since you brought this gift to my door, stay. This pure domain is 100 times stronger than the enlightened ones. As the old man spoke, he got even closer. His right hand seemed to be able to cover the sky and reach at Wang Lin. His palm seemed to contain a powerful suction force that caused Wang Lin's mind to twist and be pulled in. Wang Lin's mind quickly contracted and formed an illusory figure. He stared at the old man, but Wang Lin didn't speak. Wang Lin waved his right hand and all the Tao intents he had abandoned in the seven-colored realm rushed toward himself. These Tao intents were endless, and as they rushed in, all the fog in the seven-colored realm was stirred up. Even the seven-colored light dimmed. The number of Tao intents that had gathered reached a frightening degree in an instant. As Wang Lin waved his right hand, the Tao intents formed a giant vortex. This caused the old man to reveal a serious expression and stop his giant hand. I am comprehending Tao, and my mind randomly scattered. I didn't intend to disturb fellow cultivator's cultivation. Wang Lin's body was surrounded by endless Tao intents, and even more chaotic Tao intents were gathering. They protected Wang Lin's image formed by his mind. The old man's pupils shrank as he stared at Wang Lin's illusionary figure. He had never seen a mind spell that could condense so many chaotic Tao intents before. After pondering a bit, the old man coldly snorted and slowly said, "Only this once." Don't repeat it. He waved his sleeves and returned into the mountain. He then withdrew his divine sense. Wang Lin retreated. With the endless Tao intents surrounding him, he crossed the realm and returned to his body inside the valley. A moment later, he slowly opened his eyes and a flash of coldness appeared in his eyes. If that old man was determined to keep him there, Wang Lin would have retaliated with all the Tao intents. Standing up, Wang Lin pointed at the sky, and the endless Tao intents rushed into the valley. The Tao intents rushed in from all over the seven-colored realm and condensed into a ball of black light in Wang Lin's right hand. A moment later, all the Tao intents Wang Lin had discarded had gathered inside this ball of light. All the lost ones outside the valley were confused again and scattered. The enlightened ones began to mutter and floated away. Even the rank 12 fierce beasts seemed to become sober and roared as they left. Everything outside the valley returned to normal. Master Ashenpine's face was pale, and he quickly retreated. Wang Lin's right hand reached out and popping sounds came from the black light before it turned into a black crystal. Wang Lin held the black crystal and looked at it for a bit. This was a treasure formed from the chaotic Tao intents from all those pills, and it was a very powerful treasure. If it collapsed, the Tao intents that would rush out were enough to collapse the Tao heart of even a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. What is he guarding? Wang Lin began to ponder. He thought about the old man. It was obvious that the reason he didn't attack was because he was worried about something. That old man was at the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer but stayed alone at the mountain. If he said he wasn't guarding something or plotting something, Wang Lin wouldn't believe it. There were also those 3 young cultivators, and I've seen one of them before. I didn't expect him to appear here. Wang Lin frowned. However, since this place is related to the sovereign, then it is understandable for him to appear. Wang Lin looked up at the sky. He was calm. His eyes gave off a profound glow as if they contained the heavenly Tao. When my domain saw the scripture on the skeleton, it broke through. I only need to consolidate it for a bit and then I can reach the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his gaze fell outside the restriction. He got up and went out. The restriction's ripples echoed as Wang Lin appeared outside the valley. He looked at where Master Ashen Pine escaped to and charged forward like a bolt of lightning. Master Ashen Pine has recovered and unexpectedly found me. He hates me to the bone, so I can let him escape. Also, I need to learn what the black liquid is, and the method to leave this place from him. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and he chased. Master Ashen Pine rushed the entire way, and his face was pale the whole time. His heart was filled with anger. He thought that his injury had recovered and could easily kill this person named Lu. At most he would spend some effort breaking the restriction. However, when he came within 10,000 feet of Wang Lin, his Dao heart was caught and his mind almost collapsed. In particular, when he was within the endless chaotic Daos, he was like a lonely boat in the raging sea. When Wang Lin's mind swept by, his mind trembled. He had a vague guess that Wang Lin had gained enlightenment and improved his domain, and maybe his cultivation level was about to increase. Thinking about this, Master Ashen Pine's heart felt a chill. Before Wang Lin's cultivation level increased, he used everything and only managed to end with both sides seriously injured. Now that Wang Lin had a breakthrough, he would undoubtedly die if they were to fight. Master Ashen Pine felt bitter and roared at the sky. He had prepared for many years, but he had to admit that he had failed with no room to recover. If he continued, it was likely he would leave his life here as well. I'll not resign to this. Master Ashen Pine's eyes were filled with monstrous hatred. He hated Wang Lin to the point that he wanted to devour Wang Lin's raw flesh. This person ruined all my effort, and there is also that old woman named Zhao. If she didn't try to steal from me, that person named Lu wouldn't have had the chance. Forget it. Forget it. Master Ashen Pine's expression was twisted and his eyes were filled with anger. However, it was even more filled with gloom and helplessness. I don't want it anymore. If you all want it, then take it. I am leaving this 7-color realm and I'll completely seal this place. I'll destroy the 7-colored cracks so that all of you will be trapped here forever. Only then will the anger in my heart ease a little. That person named Lu must have searched Pang Decai's soul when he killed him. But even Pang Decai doesn't know the real way to leave. He only knew what I wanted him to know. All of you will be trapped here forever for me. Master Ashen Pine quickly rushed toward the outer region. He moved along a path they didn't travel before toward the usual path he took to leave this place. He had traveled his path twice, so he was very familiar with it. If it wasn't for the fact that he was worried about meeting the lost ones, he could move even faster. However, as he was rushing forward, his body trembled and he suddenly turned around. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the distance and killing intent surrounded him. This caused Master Ashen Pine's heart to feel a chill. He quickly sped up and charged forward. As Wang Lin stared at Master Ashen Pine's figure, his hands formed a seal, and the illusion of the ancient god furnace appeared before him. His eyes lit up and he pointed at Master Ashen Pine. Change positions. The moment he spoke, light suddenly appeared around Master Ashen Pine. Master Ashen Pine disappeared and immediately switched places with Wang Lin. Master Ashen Pine only felt his vision blur, and when he regained his vision, his expression changed greatly. Wang Lin and Master Ashen Pine's positions had been switched. Taking the moment that Master Ashen Pine was confused by the spell, Wang Lin closed the distance. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pressed at the void. His left hand quickly pointed to the back of his right hand. A surge of origin energy rushed into his palm and then shot at Master Ashen Pine. All of this happened in a flash. It was fast beyond imagination. Master Ashen Pine would have never expected Wang Lin to have such a treasure. When he realized it, the powerful origin energy had already closed in. His pupils shrank as he let out a scream and his face twisted. 7 blood-nascent souls appeared and condensed in the blurry lightning mark between his eyebrows. The mark let out a dazzling glow and shot at the origin energy charging at him. An earth-shattering rumble echoed across the land. Inside the cave not far away, Chen Tianjun walked out and gasped as he watched the battle between Wang Lin and Master Ashen Pine. The end of the month is here. Wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. Brothers, do you still have likes for the VIDEO? Chapter 1202, Planting Dao. The bolt of lightning in front of Master Ashen Pine shot out just like during their first battle. It carried with it a monstrous might and collided with the origin energy in flash. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the surroundings. The endless origin energy dissipated and the lightning pierced through toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he mercilessly threw a punch. His ancient god power activated, and the illusion of a giant ancient god appeared behind Wang Lin. This shadow was unimaginably large, and it threw a punch along with Wang Lin's punch. Popping sounds echoed, and the punch immediately collided with the lightning mark. The world changed colors. The lightning mark trembled and suddenly collapsed, but the power of lightning inside turned into countless bolts of lightning that descended on Wang Lin. Master Ashen Pine's eyes were filled with viciousness. The moment he attacked, he used his most powerful spell. He hated Wang Lin so much that he hoped Wang Lin would immediately die. Thunder and lightning Wang Lin revealed a look of contempt. Lightning flashed in his right eye, and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. His ancient thunder dragon origin soul flew out and let out a roar at the countless bolts of lightning in the sky. Roar! The ancient thunder dragon had power over thunder. With this roar, the lightning flashed in Wang Lin's right eyes and spread across his body. Soon, the space within thousands of feet of him became a thunder lake. The thunder descending from the sky paused for a moment and then fused with the thunder lake around Wang Lin, forming a boundless thunder hell. Wang Lin was like a thunder celestial inside the thunder lake. He breathed in, and the endless thunder quickly condensed into his right eye. This scene caused Master Ashen Pine's face to turn pale. He was completely stunned. Not far away, Chen Tianjun's forehead was covered in sweat. His face was pale and shock had filled his eyes. Wang Lin didn't T-stop. After he absorbed the lightning, there was a faint lightning mark in his eyes. It shot out from his eyes just like the attack from before and flew directly at Master Ashen Pine. Master Ashen Pine quickly retreated, and his hands formed a seal. The 7 nascent souls quickly gave off an intense blood-red light and surrounded Master Ashen Pine in an attempt to block the lightning. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Although he hadn't actually broken through to the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser, the breakthrough in his domain had caused the power of his spells to become more powerful. He was also different compared to the first time he battled Master Ashen Pine. Reveal character. The moment the lightning shot out, Wang Lin reached out and his storage space appeared. A 7-colored light came out from the crack and the 7-colored nail appeared. Wang Lin grabbed it and threw it. The 7-colored light turned into a ray of 7-colored light and whistled at Master Ashen Pine at an extreme speed. Master Ashen Pine was surrounded by a bloodlight and the lightning arrived. The bloodlight seemed to boil as popping sounds echoed. The bloodlight continued to collapse and dissipate. As Master Ashen Pine continued to retreat, his right hand opened his storage space. However, at this moment, he felt a powerful sense of danger. A ray of 7-colored light instantly closed in on him through the collapsing bloodlight. Master Ashen Pine's face instantly turned ashen. The 7-colored light was too fast. Blood splashed out from his chest when the 7-colored light pierced through. His origin soul was going to escape, but he let out a miserable groan. A 7-colored nail had punctured the chest of his origin soul. Master Ashen Pine's origin soul revealed a hint of panic, but madness soon appeared. Wang Lin immediately appeared behind Master Ashen Pine and placed his right hand on Master Ashen Pine's head. He was taking advantage of the moment that Master Ashen Pine's origin soul was seriously injured and about to go crazy to search his soul. Wang Lin quickly obtained the memories from Master Ashen Pine's origin soul. Master Ashen Pine's origin soul trembled and the madness intensified. After just a moment, the madness reached a peak and he let out a roar. Blood-red lines spread out from his chest and spread across his whole body. Wang Lin withdrew his hand and ignored Master Ashen Pine. He swept through Master Ashen Pine's storage space and took everything. At this moment, Master Ashen Pine went crazy. He held his head in his hands and his eyes revealed a beast-like gaze. Then he pointed at the sky and his body trembled. A roar came from his mouth before his body rapidly withered. In just a moment, he dissipated and turned into a blood bead. This bead gave off a blood-red light and covered all the 7-colored light in the sky. The world dimmed, and the blood bead shot at the sky. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This was his first time using the 7-colored nail. Based on his personal experience from forcing out the 7-colored nail, the the seven-colored nail would instantly absorb all your vitality at the moment of madness. Then you would die while going mad. However, he didn't expect a blood bead to form at the moment, a death. Seeing the blood bead charge into the sky, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to charge toward it. He approached the bead and grabbed it. The bead immediately began to struggle as if it wanted to break free. A powerful force came from within it that shook Wang Lin's mind and pulled him into the void. Wang Lin's expression changed, but just at this moment, the heaven-defying bead, which hadn't moved for a long time, suddenly condensed in his origin soul. It rapidly rotated, and a mysterious suction force entered his right hand. The blood bead trembled and suddenly stopped struggling. It entered Wang Lin's right hand and entered the heaven-defying bead inside his origin soul. Then seven-colored light gathered in Wang Lin's right hand and the nail reformed. This strange scene shocked Wang Lin's mind, but he didn't reveal a hint of it. He put away the seven-colored nail, and his gaze fell on Chen Tianjun. Chen Tianjun had just witnessed Wang Lin slaughter Master Ashen Pine. When Wang Lin looked over, his face turned pale. He subconsciously took a few steps back and clasped his hands at Wang Lin. "Brother Lu's power is heaven-shaking. I admire you. Master Ashen Pine was vicious for bringing us all here. It is fortunate that he died by fellow cultivator Lu's hand. He deserved it. Fellow cultivator Lu did good." Wang Lin closed in on Chen Tianjun and slightly clasped his hands. Chen Tianjun looked cautiously at Wang Lin and explained before Wang Lin even asked any questions. "I left earlier, but after traveling back along the original path to the altar, I found that I couldn't leave this seven-colored realm. Then I encountered a fierce beast and was seriously injured. I found this place and began healing." Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he slowly said, "Escaping a rank 12 beast must not have been easy for fellow cultivator Chen." Chen Tianjun was nervous as he quickly said, "I am special. I have a good understanding of fierce beasts, so I barely was able to escape." Wang Lin have no feud with this Chen Tianjun and didn't want to fight over any treasures. He clasped his hands and was about to leave. "Fellow cultivator Lu, wait, I have one thing to ask." Chen Tianjun was still hesitating, but seeing that Wang Lin was going to leave, he clenched his teeth and made up his mind. "What is it?" Wang Lin looked at Chen Tianjun. "When fellow cultivator Lu searched Master Ashen Pine's soul, did you find a method to leave?" Chen Tianjun looked at Wang Lin with a hint of nervousness. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit and then nodded. Chen Tianjun let out a sigh of relief and became even more respectful. He sincerely clasped his hands. "Please help me, fellow cultivator Lu. As long as you can take me out of here, any condition will be fine as long as I can leave this damn place." Wang Lin's gaze swept Chen Tianjun's face and he shook his head. "I don't plan on leaving soon." Chen Tianjun hesitated and whispered, "No problem. Just take me when fellow cultivator Lu leaves. There's no rush. If you need me to do anything, just ask." After he finished speaking, he saw Wang Lin's expression remain calm, as if Wang Lin didn't agree, so he quickly said, "Fellow cultivator Lu, with my understanding of fierce beasts and my spells from my battle beast sect, I can help fellow cultivator Lu gather origin crystals from the countless fog beasts here. I roughly calculated that there are at least 100 fog beasts and countless origin crystals. If fellow cultivator promises to take me out of here, I'll risk it and gather all those origin crystals. After we leave, there will be a big reward as well." Wang Lin was moved. After pondering a bit, he nodded and handed a jade to Chen Tianjun. "After you finish gathering the origin crystals, you can send me a message." After that, Wang Lin no longer looked at Chen Tianjun and left. As Chen Tianjun watched Wang Lin disappear over the horizon, he let out a sigh of relief. He didn't lie. He indeed wanted to leave this place. Originally, he thought he had no chance, but after seeing Master Ashen Pine die, he knew that his chances of leaving this place were in Wang Lin's hands. "Generate now. Taking the origin crystals will be very dangerous, so I need to prepare." Chen Tianjun took a deep breath and held the jade tightly as if it was his hope of leaving. He returned to his cave. Wang Lin returned to the cave inside the valley and took out a large amount of origin crystals. He placed large amounts of restrictions around him and began absorbing the origin energy. Origin energy rushed toward him from all sides, and he cultivated his way toward the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. Although this place is dangerous, this is the best place to cultivate. From Master Ashen Pine's memories, there was that stone statue that he used to reform his body. Perhaps I can absorb some power from it. There is also those three from the outer realm. They have power and information about the outer realm I need. There is also that old woman in green with her life and death restriction, and there is also Sima Mo's time restriction. In the boundless stars, there was a star system that was far larger than all heaven, brilliant void, summon river, and the cloud sea. Even if all 4 star systems were combined, it wouldn't be able to compare to this vast star system. This was called the outer realm by the people of the sealed realm. The people of the outer realm called this place the primal star system. There was a mysterious palace in a forbidden area of the primal star system. There was no sign of life here, and there were several 7-colored lights floating in the palace. There was a piece of jade with a name engraved on it inside each light. Qing Shui, All-Seer, Master Zhongshuan, Taoist Water, Sima Mo, Master Ashen Pine. At this moment, the jade with Master Ashen Pine engraved on it collapsed into countless pieces, and a sigh echoed in the palace. Just as the sigh appeared, time began to flow in reverse, and the pieces of the jade reformed back into a jade as if nothing had happened. However, the name carved on the jade that reformed had turned into Wang Lin. In the land of Tao Seed, the Tao spirit will form soon. Let us just use this person's soul to allow the Tao to succeed. A murmur echoed inside the palace. It was as if the voice was talking to himself or passing it through the stars. In the depths of the 7-colored realm stood the mountain where Wang Lin's mind had passed. A white-haired old man was sitting there, and behind him there was a cave. 7-colored light came from the cave, and many mournful wails slowly came from within. The old man suddenly raised his head and looked up at the sky. After a long time, he silently nodded. The end of the month, wishing for the like button for the video. Don't hold back, it's expiring. Chapter 1203, Tao Essence. Large amounts of origin energy filled the valley Sima Mo's cave was located in. The origin energy formed a vortex that floated above the valley. Below the vortex was Wang Lin. The history of the 7-colored realm was mysterious, and there were many strange things here that were filled with danger. However, it was also a huge opportunity for Wang Lin. After he absorbed Master Ashen Pine's memories, Wang Lin learned even more about the 7-colored realm. He even found out about the use of the bottle of liquid and the method to leave this place. If he hadn't broken through from the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser to the mid-stage, he would have hesitated. After all, Wang Lin had gained a much better understanding of the dangers here after taking Master Ashen Pine's memories. More importantly, he knew of the existence of that mountain, the depths of the 7-colored realm. However, Wang Lin's domain had a breakthrough, so he just needed to absorb enough origin crystal to reach the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. At that time, with his ancient god body, he could kill mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators without any difficulty. Only late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators would be a challenge. If I can reach the peak of the Nirvana Cleanser stage, those late-stage Nirvana Shatterer old monsters won't be my match. Wang Lin took a deep breath and the large amount of origin energy rushed into his body. It was all absorbed into his body. Popping sounds echoed and his hair moved without any wind. His origin soul was also cultivating and continued to swell as he devoured the endless origin energy. As more and more origin energy entered, Wang Lin's origin soul became as large as his body. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. His gaze was like the bright stars, and it pierced through the heavens and earth. The moment he opened his eyes, the large amount of origin crystals around him collapsed into dust, forming a ring around him. Mid-stage Nirvana Cleanser. Wang Lin smiled and let out a mouthful of foil air. Then he waved his hand and a jade bottle appeared. This was the thing he had taken from Master Ashen Pine. Use the lost ones to devour Tao and the enlightened ones to nourish Tao. The nourished Tao is then absorbed by the 4 stone tablets. Then use the scripture engraved on the skeleton under the tablet to transform this Tao into an unimaginable force. This force is then used to extract this black blood from the skeleton. But it isn't blood, it's the Tao essence of that person. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. This was the important information he had obtained from Master Ashen Pine's mind. Wang Lin didn't find how Master Ashen Pine had obtained his information. After all, Master Ashen Pine was a mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, and the Soul Surge spell wasn't T without flaws. Wang Lin couldn't T obtain everything. The key of this Tao essence is the identity of that half-skeleton. There are 2 stone tablets, and from what I've seen, each should have half a skeleton nailed below them, so it was one person. This person must have been very famous. I don't know if he was killed or if someone dug up his skeleton, but they used his heaven-shattering method to force out his Tao essence. If I drink his Tao essence, I can obtain his Tao. The scripture on the bones was carved on there later. It is unknown what powerful cultivator turned their spell into a scripture and thought of this terrifying idea. However, this Tao essence can be consumed immediately. Once one drinks it, they fall asleep for an unknown amount of time. Master Ashen Pine's plan was to find an absolutely safe place here, drink it, and wait for the day he would awaken. This was also the reason why he didn't just drink it when he was fighting the old woman in green. The place he had chosen was the mountain in the depths of the 7-colored realm. Only there was no sign of that white-haired old man in Master Ashen Pine's memories. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he stared at the bottle in his left hand. Interesting. Everything here seems to produce Tao for the stone tablets to absorb. Even the fierce beasts are the same. As for why there aren't any rank 13 beasts, it is like all of them were killed and had their Tao souls taken. All of this is for the Tao essence in this jade bottle. However, the importance of this Tao essence to the powerful cultivator that set this up is likely not as simple as drinking it. The old man on the mountain must be guarding something. Perhaps what he is guarding is connected to all this. Wang Lin pondered a bit and put the bottle away. Sima Mo's shade said that there are 4 tablets, but when my mind spread out, there were only 2. One of stone tablets didn't even have a skeleton or bottle beneath it. This is a bit strange. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin looked at the 9 caves on the mountain. He had only checked the first 3, but after that, he didn't open them. His body flickered and he arrived before the 4th cave. He placed his right hand on the rock that was sealing the cave, and the origin energy in his body surged. He gently pressed on the rock and popping sounds came out. All the restrictions on it collapsed and moved to the side. The moment the rock moved, Wang Lin's lightning gaze looked inside, and he frowned. The 4th cave was completely empty. Stepping into the cave, Wang Lin carefully looked around but still found nothing. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin arrived next to the 5th cave. This cave also had a restriction sealing it, and it was actually the time restriction. The ripples of the restriction were extremely powerful. It would be difficult to break this restriction. Wang Lin raised his right hand and formed seals, and restrictions immediately appeared. As his hand landed on the rock, a rumble came out from inside it and large amounts of ripples immediately appeared. The moment it turned transparent, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He was startled when he saw through the transparent rock and saw what was inside. There were people in this cave. 4 cultivators with tattered clothes, no hair, and dead eyes walked in confusion inside the cave. It was as if they had never stopped once over the countless years and continued walking. There was a formation on the ground of the cave. This formation released a gentle light that surrounded the 4 of them and slowly drilled into their bodies. There was also a piece of jade, the center. Lost ones. Wang Lin immediately recognized the 4 of them. He thought of the information Sima Mo had left behind and gasped. He quickly arrived before the 6th cave and used the same method to make the rock transparent to look inside. There were 3 people inside the cave. These 3 people seemed to have no physical bodies and were only ghosts. They drifted in the cave and seemed to be chanting something, but with the rock blocking the way, Wang Lin couldn't hear anything. Enlightened ones, Wang Lin saw that there were even more restrictions inside. These restrictions were there to completely seal them, making it impossible for them to come out unless they awakened one day and opened the restriction on their own. There was also a jade placed in the cave. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin walked to the 7th cave and made the rock transparent too. His eyes narrowed as he saw an old man sitting inside. This old man's hair was gray and his face was deathly pale. He sat there as if he had been there for an eternity. There were even more restrictions here than in the cave with the enlightened ones. They completely sealed this place shut. The moment Wang Lin looked at the old man's eyes opened. His eyes were filled with madness as he stared at Wang Lin outside the rock and let out a roar. He charged like a beast and spells appeared around him, and he shot toward the rock. However, the moment the old man's spells appeared, the restrictions in the cave flashed quickly and absorbed the spells. The old man roared even more intensely and his hands smashed down on the rock. No sound came out. Wang Lin was able to see the old man's roar but not hear it. The mountain rock remained motionless. After a long time, the old man seemed tired. He stared at Wang Lin as he retreated and sat back down. The restrictions returned to normal. Could he be a defying one? After looking at the three caves, Wang Lin had already understood that these people were Sima Mo sect members. Sima Mo had brought them back and sealed them inside the cave in an attempt to awaken them. However, looking at it now, Sima Mo didn't succeed. The jades inside the Lost Ones and Enlightened Ones caves should contain the time restriction. Sima Mo's thought was that if one of them awakened, they would only need to learn the restriction to open it. Letting out a sigh, Wang Lin walked to the 8th cave. The restriction on the 8th cave wasn't a time restriction. After a glance, Wang Lin waved his hand and the restriction dissipated. The rock rumbled and moved aside. The moment the 8th cave opened, Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air. He stared at the items inside and finally let out a breath after a long time. There was half a skeleton inside this cave. This was the lower half of a skeleton, and there were countless words carved on it. This skeleton was completely black. The restriction on the ground sealed the skeleton completely. So the lost skeleton from the stone tablet is here? Wang Lin looked at the skeleton and felt a powerful force tugging at his mind. He retreated a few steps and cut off that bit of connection without any hesitation. After focusing himself, Wang Lin pondered for a bit. He wasn't willing to leave just like this. He looked at the skeleton and saw that there was a deep fracture on its right leg. Although it wasn't disconnected, the wound was very deep. After a long time, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal. He pointed at his body several times and placed a large amount of restrictions on his mind. Then his hand reached out and took out the crystal sword he had gotten from Master Ashen Pine. He left a sliver of his thoughts inside the sword and slowly walked forward. It was only a few dozen feet, but Wang Lin was extremely careful every step. He slowly arrived next to the skeleton, squatted down, and reached for the fracture on the right leg without any hesitation. His mind extended out from his right hand. He was using his soul to comprehend. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense touched the bone, he felt a bang in his mind. A grand chapter. Not caring to read 4,500 words, can bear to split it into 2 chapters. As the donkey dies a martyr, tears flow wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1204. The Plan of the Heavenly Tao. It was as if he wasn't touching the bone, but an unimaginable vortex. His divine sense was going into the depths of the vortex. Without his control, an unimaginable suction force pulled Wang Lin's divine sense deeper and deeper. Wang Lin was like a lonely boat in the raging waves. He was being sucked into the vortex. It was as if he was traveling through time to a period where he had never been to before. Thunderous rumbles echoed in his mind even more. If someone looked from outside the cave, they would see that Wang Lin's body was trembling, his face was pale, and that his face had even become twisted. His right hand trembled even more intensely, but it was glued to the skeleton. That skeleton suddenly gave off a golden glow. However, the moment the golden light appeared, the text on the skeleton gave off a black glow, trying to suppress the golden light. The two began a battle. This was a world filled with chaos. It was impossible to separate heaven and earth. The world seemed to exist but also seemed not to exist. In the distant void, a person slowly walked over. This person wore white and looked like an old man. However, his figure was vague, making it difficult to see him clearly. He raised his head and looked up at the sky as if he was pondering. However, at this moment, 7 colored light suddenly arrived. This wave of 7 colored light tore the world apart, causing the chaos to collapse. The sky was no longer the sky, and the earth was no longer the earth. It was now space. However, this space wasn't black, but 7-colored. This world had become a 7-colored world. The old man in white fiercely raised his head and waved his right hand. The word battle appeared. The world surrounded his body and gave off an endless golden glow that forced the 7-colored light back. Just at this instant, a mighty voice echoed across the world. The world began at the origin. The sky is the beginning, the earth is the end. What this old man cultivates is the origin of the world. Law of origin, 7-colored guide seal. With one word, all the 7-colored light in this world moved as if there was a force controlling them. All the boundless 7-colored light gathered toward the old man like crazy. It looked as if the world had reversed and all the seven-colored light was gathering to form a seal. The seven-colored light continued to condense until it completely sealed the old man. The endless seven-colored light flashed as if the world was going to collapse. Bursts of roars came from inside the seven-colored world, but it grew weaker until it dissipated. Xianxia, if it wasn't for this old man gifting you the battle scroll, how could you have reached the spirit void stage? If I take your Zhan family soul, I can use it as a guide to find where that old ghost Zhan hid his old bones for his void tribulant. Then I'll take his skeleton and force out the Tao essence from both of you. I'll destroy his nirvana and complete the heavenly plan. The ancient voice sound exhausted and gradually disappeared. At the same time, even the world Wang Lin was in began to shatter. It seemed like his origin soul was going to collapse and disintegrate with it. At this moment in Sima Mo's cave, the golden light from the skeleton was being suppressed by the black light and was forced into a corner. The black light headed for Wang Lin's hand and was about to enter his body. Just at this instant, the crystal sword Wang Lin had left in the cave suddenly shined and charged toward him. It moved between Wang Lin's fingertip and the skeleton, causing them to separate. Wang Lin's body trembled as he became sober and retreated without hesitation. He stared at the skeleton, and his mind was in turmoil. Zhan family ancestor, Xianxia. Wang Lin's expression became gloomy. He knew that the Zhan family ancestor from all heaven had disappeared among the stars, and no one knew where he had gone. Xianxia was extremely talented, and at some point he accidentally found the battle scroll. He studied it to comprehend the battle domain, and then disappeared in pursuit of a higher realm. No matter how much his future offspring searched for him, they couldn't find any clue of where Xianxia was. I didn't think he would be Xianxia. The person who killed Xianxia using the law of origin could be he the sovereign. Wang Lin's expression became even more gloomy. Thinking back about what happened, his heart felt cold. That seven-colored light was a spell similar to Sundered Night, but far more powerful. Just one spell was enough to kill Xianxia without him being able to resist at all. Wang Lin's mouth became dry. While pondering, he frowned, and his eyes lit up. Something is wrong. If Xianxia was killed like this, how could such a clear will remain? If he died, his will should have dissipated. Even though the will still exists, it shouldn't be this clear also. The voice of the sovereign at the end clearly seemed exhausted. Ideas raced through Wang Lin's mind, but he couldn't find any clues. Spirit void, void tribulant. Could these be two realms in the third step? When I comprehended the battle scrolls, I saw an old man. The battle scrolls were created by that person. He once said that his cultivation level had reached the void and that he was going to have a breakthrough. Could it be that he was the old ghost Zhan the sovereign mentioned? From the way he spoke, this sovereign seems to dread this old ghost Zhan. In order to find where this old ghost Zhan hid his bones, the sovereign gave the battle scroll to Xianxia. He let Xianxia cultivate the battle domain before killing him for his soul. All of this was for the sake of the heavenly plan. What exactly is this heavenly plan? Wang Lin's mind became even more clear. Although there were some things he didn't understand, his thoughts were clear. The 4 stone tablets and 2 intact skeletons. This first skeleton is Xianxia. Could the second skeleton be his ancestor, old Goshan? Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air. The battle scroll is the Tao left behind by old ghost Zhan. Wang Lin looked at the skeleton with a complicated expression. When he saw the faint golden light, he began to ponder. He had a total of 3 battle scrolls inside his storage space. He had opened the first 2, but he hadn't opened the third one since obtaining them from the Zhan family. After pondering for a bit, he looked at the skeleton, and his right hand reached at the void. 3 balls of light flew out. Inside the 3 balls of light were the 3 battle scrolls. The moment the battle scrolls appeared, the golden lightning that was forced into a corner by the black light flew out from the skeleton. It went straight into the 3 battle scrolls, and as the golden light shined, the scrolls fused together. This strange scene was not outside of Wang Lin's expectations. His gaze was serious as he stared at the 3 battle scrolls fusing. After a moment, the fusion ended, and the cave was covered in a golden light. An illusionary word battle appeared before Wang Lin. The word battle released a golden glow and a terrifying aura. It headed straight for Wang Lin and was put into his storage space. You obtained the battle scroll and inadvertently became old ghost Zhan's cross-generation inheritor. Because of you, Sovereign found out where old Ghost John had buried his bones countless years later. I obtained the battle scrolls from your descendant today. I saw your remains. Wang Lin revealed a complicated look before letting out a heavy sigh. He then left the cave and sealed it. Wang Lin didn't open the 9th cave as he wasn't able to break the restriction on it. He saw that it was filled with 7-colored gas, but he couldn't see what was inside. Inside the valley, Wang Lin looked at Sima Mo's remains and pondered for a long time. Then he left. Before Wang Lin left, he went to the first cave where the mosquito beast was and left a lot of origin crystals. Walking out of the valley, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He needed to see the tablet that he saw with his mind before. He needed to see the other half of Xianxia's remains. After searching the memories of Pang Dakai and Master Ashen Ping, Wang Lin was no longer unfamiliar with this 7-colored realm. All the roots were deeply imprinted in his mind. He moved like a ray of light, but didn't fly, instead moving along the ground. He moved through the various valleys before he arrived at where restriction the old woman in green was trapped in. The restriction had been opened and the old woman had disappeared. After taking a glance, Wang Lin didn't stop. He passed by the mountain into the fog. Wang Lin was very familiar with this area. The murmuring of the enlightened ones entered his ears and some even drifted by him. The more Wang Lin learned, the more he understood the enlightened ones. They were all former cultivators, but they had become things to help someone else nourish Tao. Wang Lin could even imagine that these enlightened ones were once amazing talents who had high understanding of Tao. That's why they were trapped by the Tao scripture and became enlightened ones to nourish Tao. He let out a sigh in his heart, but he didn't stop and charged ahead. He gradually saw a giant statue in the fog. Wang Lin stopped before the statue. His eyes shined as he jumped up and arrived next to the head of the statue. In Master Ashenpine's memories, his cultivation method was called the 100 blood origin forms the nascent soul. The 7th spirit of the sealed realm he summoned was comprehended from this statue. This cultivation method allowed him to cultivate a total of 9 nascent soul-like things, but they were far more powerful than nascent souls. More importantly, they would allow Master Ashenpine to increase the speed at which he cultivated a spell by 9-fold. What was even more shocking was that each nascent soul could form a spell. Often there were many spells that couldn't be cultivated together. No matter how good they were, you had to make a choice. The old woman's yin-yang ancestral spell was like this. However, this was not an issue for Master Ashenpine. His 9 blood nascent souls could cultivate separately. However, before the battle with Wang Lin, one of the nascent souls was taken by the old woman, and then in the battle with Wang Lin, both of them were seriously injured, so he wasn't able to use the spells inside them. Big brothers and little sisters, do you still have likes for the video? Wishing for the like button for the video to help. Chapter 120 Return of Wang Lin. Xu Hao was a 6th-generation disciple of the spirit art sect in the rank 3 cultivation country of Julu. He sat on top of a giant rock. He was sorting his gains from throughout the years when his transmission jade suddenly started to shake. Xu Hao's brow furrowed as he placed the jade on his forehead. A very hurried voice entered his mind. Quickly, come to the th° northwest. A piece of divine sense without any owner appeared. The person who sent the message was a good friend that he had met at the foreign battleground named Yi Yang. They were both late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. They often teamed up to kill people for their treasures, so their relationship was very good. The moment Xu Hao heard this, his expression immediately changed. He became very excited. Divine sense was the most precious thing in the foreign battleground, even more so than working magic treasures. Only powerful cultivators whose nascent souls had escaped from their bodies, but then died, had a small chance of leaving behind a bit of divine sense. Xu Hao didn't understand the specific uses of divine sense, but he knew that when he entered the foreign battleground, the messenger listed out the things that the higher cultivation countries wanted, and divine sense placed in the top 10. The stuff on the list must be turned in once they obtain it, and they would receive certain reward for them. Thinking about it, Xu Hao quickly flew northwest. After he arrived, he found out that a large amount of people had gathered here. In the distance, there was a large barrier surrounding a blue spot. This blue spot just floated in the air motionlessly. Xu Hao's eyes revealed greed as he slapped his bag of holding, took out a black fork, and charged over. As for Wang Lin, he quietly waited for spatial rifts to appear. Suddenly, 8 spatial rifts appeared, within his divine sense. Pieces of Wang Lin's divine sense quickly entered the rifts and were cut off. He had sent out 8 portions of his divine sense. This process continued as Wang Lin's divine sense became smaller and smaller as he sent out countless portions of divine sense. In these 3 years, the foreign battleground had entered a crazed state. Since that time, when Xu Hao and Ji Yang took that portion of divine sense would appear daily, causing everyone in the foreign battleground to go crazy. It was unimaginable for this much divine sense to appear in the foreign battleground. If the upper cultivation countries found out about this strange event, it would have immediately caught their attention. But in these 3 years, they hadn't sent anyone to check the foreign battleground. The foreign battleground entered an unstable state. For some unknown reason, the people inside couldn't leave and the people outside couldn't go in. The cause of the problem were the spatial rifts. In this past decade, there were too many spatial rifts. A few entrances were filled with countless spatial rifts. The experts of the rank 4 and 5 cultivation countries came to the conclusion that the foreign battleground was about to collapse. If even a nascent soul were to go in right now, it could cause a collapse. As for asking the rank 6 cultivation country to repair it, the price was simply too great. Even if they knew about the large quantities of divine sense that was appearing inside the foreign battleground, they still wouldn't do it. And that is taking into consideration the fact that the price would be split among the rank cultivation countries. And most importantly, there was more than one foreign battleground, so there was really no need to fix this one. The general rule was once a foreign battleground can't be maintained anymore, it was simply abandoned. But what caused all the experts to scratch their heads was that this foreign battleground should still have lasted thousands of years before collapsing. What could have happened in the last decade to speed up its collapse? They didn't know that all of this was caused by Wang Lin. If it wasn't for him slamming into all of the spatial rifts, this wouldn't have happened. The flow of time in the void was different from the flow of time in the foreign battleground. 100 years in the void was only 1 year in the foreign battleground. To be more accurate, the time Wang Lin had spent slamming into the spatial rift was 7 years outside, but 700 years in the void. 700 years of continuous blows from Wang Lin caused the foreign battleground to collapse even faster. Right now, no cultivator from the rank 4 or 5 cultivation countries dared to enter the foreign battleground. They could only send messages to the cultivators inside. They told them to cancel the cleaning, work together to gather all of the divine sense and leave through a transfer array. Wang Lin had lost track of time as his soul became smaller and smaller. Right now, he no longer had to cut off his divine sense. He was waiting for a large rift. On this day, within Wang Lin's divine sense, a spatial rift several times larger than normal appeared. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin entered. Mai Liang had set his sights on a magic treasure. This magic treasure was very similar to the black light he had seen before. Both could fly on their own. He had chased this treasure down for 3 days and was completely worn out. He wryly smiled at the purple sword before him, and secretly thought that if his shuttle wasn't stolen, he could have easily caught up and wouldn't be so tired right now. Thinking about the shuttle, he couldn't help think about that black light. In these 10+ years, he couldn't help but fantasize about that treasure. Since that treasure was being chased by a member of the giant demon clan, it must have been some heaven-defying treasure. Every time he thought about it, he couldn't help but sigh. Mai Liang muttered to himself, the transfer tunnel to leave here won't open early or late, but exactly when my 50-year time limit is up. But no matter what happens, I can finally go home. In these past few years, it has become too dangerous. It is all because of the divine senses that have been appearing. After I get that flying sword, I'll return to the gathering point. Hee, junior apprentice sister, you have to wait for me. You can turn down senior apprentice brother. I am a brute, and only I truly love you. But 50 years have passed. What does junior apprentice sister look like now? Well, she cultivates the war god method, and I heard that it has the ability to make you stay looking young, so at most she would look 30. If she has become an old lady, then I might as well give up. Of the dozens of people from the war god shrine that came here, only 10 or so remain. Once I return, the elders will focus resources on me to help me cultivate. And the bottle of pills I received before is very powerful. Just one pill will keep me young. After I leave, I will only look like a 20-year-old young man. Thanks to that, I can have any woman I want. Mai Liang let out a mischievous smile as he suddenly gained motivation. Just as Mai Liang was feeling proud, two beams of light suddenly closed in. In the blink of an eye, they arrived next to Mai Liang. One of the lights charged past him towards the purple sword, revealing a 30-year-old young man. His expression darkened as he caught the flying sword and threw it into his bag of holding without a word. He then turned to stare coldly at Mai Liang. The other ray of light revealed a middle-aged man in black. He stood behind Mai Liang and faintly smiled at him. Mai Liang's expression changed as he said, "Shu Hao," he complained in his heart. He had seen these people from a distance before. These two had bad names because they liked to kill people to steal their treasures. Mai Liang decisively tore off his bag of holding and threw it to Shu Hao. "Fellow cultivators, here is everything I have found during my time here. You guys can have it all. I just want my life," he begged. Shu Hao was startled. He took the bag of holding and scanned it with his divine sense. He smiled and said, "You are the most spineless person I have ever met, but also the most practical. Fine, I'll let you go this time." Scram! Mai Liang relaxed and was about to back away when his expression suddenly changed. He coughed out a mouthful of blood as a flying sword pierced through his chest. His body shook as he felt his life draining away. He forced his body to turn around and look at Jie Yang as he said, "You." Jie Yang waved his hand. As the flying sword flew back to him, he said, "I didn't say I'd let you go." With that, he left without even looking at Mai Liang. Shu Hao made a sound and shook his head. He knew that Jie Yang killed Mai Liang because he hated the fact that Mai Liang gave the bag of holding to him. He and Jie Yang had an agreement. The bag of holding belongs to whoever gets a hold of it first, and they couldn't fight over it anymore. If Mai Liang had given the bag of holding to Jie Yang, Shu Hao would have done the same. Mai Liang's consciousness was already fuzzy as an image of his junior apprentice sister appeared before him. He gradually closed his eyes. Just at that moment, a large spatial rift appeared next to Mai Liang, and a large soul charged out. The moment the soul appeared, it paused and quickly drilled into Mai Liang's body. Mai Liang's eyes suddenly opened. Beams of golden light shot out of his eyes. The wound on his chest healed at a visible rate. Soon, he had completely recovered. A cold voice came from his mouth. "Teng Huayuan, I, Wang Lin, am back. Divine sense, return." Suddenly, all of the divine sense in the foreign battleground that belonged to Wang Lin, whether it was inside someone's bag of holding, refined by someone, inside someone's body, or being fought over, all of it began to tremble. The pieces of divine sense one after another gathered toward Wang Lin from the foreign battleground. A panic that had never occurred before appeared in the hearts of every cultivator who had a piece of the divine sense. Just in time to keep the manuscript, tonight's update might not be timely. If there's no second watch tonight, Leo will supplement tomorrow. However, Leo will try his best to finish today. Chapter 1205, Pride. Wang Lin sat down on the head of the statue. He knew that the reason why Master Ashen Pine was able to restore his body and gain that lightning mark had a great connection to this stone statue. One of Master Ashen Pine's blood-nascent souls cultivated the cultivation method left in this statue. Due to his ninefold comprehension power, he barely obtained part of the inheritance left in this stone statue. Now Wang Lin had absorbed the majority of that inheritance during their battle with his command over thunder, and it was gathered in his right eye. At this moment, he took a deep breath, and his divine sense surrounded the statue. The lightning came out from his right eye and surrounded him. Then the lightning mark on the statue flashed intensely and popping sounds echoed. A faint roar echoed. Wang Lin's eyes were closed as his divine sense surrounded the stone statue and lightning surrounded him. He had an ancient thunder dragon origin soul and had control over the heavenly thunder. All thunder had to listen to his command. However, the lightning from the statue gave off an ancient aura and was filled with pride. It moved around the statue and continued to collide with the thunder Wang Lin controlled. From a distance, one could only see ball of thunder surrounding the statue as lightning arched everywhere. The thunderous rumbles of thunder continued to echo. This was a battle between lightning and thunder. It was battle for control. Wang Lin didn't comprehend it like Master Ashen Pine. He didn't conform to the lightning mark of the stone statue to comprehend lightning. He didn't yield to the lightning mark like a servant, and borrowed it to increase his comprehension. Master Ashen Pine was like a beggar that had waited for an unknown amount of time to obtain the little remaining power of lightning to turn it into his own spell. It even allowed Master Ashen Pine to summon the seventh spirit of the sealed realm that could injure Wang Lin's ancient god body. Master Ashen Pine had chosen a path of submission. He saw this statue as a god and had one of his nascent souls comprehend and worship it. There was no danger in this path as long as you were worthy you could obtain it. But how could Wang Lin chose this path? He even dared to defy the heavens. He did as he pleased as he traveled the world, and dared to fight the heavens. He had defied the heavens to form his Tao and dared to compete with the heavens. He would never worship this mere statue like Master Ashen Pine did, even if the lightning inside the statue was heaven-shaking and could summon the seventh spirit of the sealed realm. What he wanted was for the lightning in the statue to yield under him. He didn't want to comprehend the lightning in the statue. He wanted to absorb it all. Make it worship him. This was his pride, the pride of a heaven-defying cultivator, and the dignity of an ancient god. Out of the countless clans in the ancient world, could any match up to the ancient god clan? Like the moon-devouring clan, Wang Lin had learned from Ling Er that they were but servants of the ancient gods. If the moon-devouring clan was like this, then this lightning mark clan, which seemed to also be a clan of the outer realm, also had to yield to him. Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed an extremely tyrannical gaze. He let out a cold snort, and his right hand smashed down on the head of the stone statue. A thunderous rumble echoed, but the statue didn't collapse. Instead, an earth-shattering bolt of lightning shot up to the sky and then turned into a lightning dragon that charged at Wang Lin. When it rushed over, all the surrounding lightning was absorbed by it. It closed in on Wang Lin with a fierce and mad aura. This lightning dragon was fierce, but Wang Lin was even more fierce. This lightning dragon was crazy, but Wang Lin was 10 times, 100 times more crazy. The moment it closed in, thunder flashed in Wang Lin's right eye and shot out. A vortex appeared between his eyebrows, and the ancient thunder dragon descended into the seven-colored realm. With one roar, Wang Lin's ancient thunder dragon origin soul collided with the lightning dragon and began to devour it like crazy. In this constant devour, the stars of an ancient god vaguely appeared behind the vortex, and the power of an ancient god filled his body. His right hand mercilessly reached forward, and the image of an ancient god appeared. Wang Lin grabbed the lightning dragon and mercilessly squeezed. While the lightning dragon was fighting with Wang Lin's origin soul, its body trembled, and it let out a roar as it attempted to struggle free. However, the ancient god hand held it firmly, and as it squeezed, large amounts of lightning shot out. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's origin soul shot out and devoured this lightning dragon before returning to his body. The thunder in his right eye became several fold stronger. This made Wang Lin's entire body become blurry, but his right eye gave off an intense glow. Any thunder in the world must obey my command. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but an invisible aura spread out. All the scattered lightning immediately gathered inside Wang Lin's eye, from a lightning mark. The moment the lightning mark appeared in Wang Lin's right eye, a large amount of cracks appeared on the stone statue. It started at the feet and quickly spread like crazy. They were like dragons charging at Wang Lin, who was on the head of the statue. The cracking sounds were earth-shaking, and there were bright flashes coming from within the cracks. The statue seemed like it was going to fragment, but it remained motionless. There was lightning moving within the cracks, and it instantly closed in on Wang Lin. A thunderous rumble echoed as the lightning moved like countless sliver snakes around Wang Lin's body. It formed a giant ball of lightning that was more than 1,000 feet wide. Wang Lin was inside the ball of lightning. The lightning struggled and refused to be controlled by Wang Lin. Then it began to contract like crazy toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a cold snort, and lightning surrounded his body. Although his cultivation level couldn't match the stone statue, his origin soul was an ancient thunder dragon. He was the master of thunder in this world. As long as it was thunder, it wasn't worthy enough to defy him. This had nothing to do with cultivation, it was a battle of thunder. The ancient thunder dragons were given the right to control thunder by the heavenly Tao. Wang Lin didn't believe in the heavens, and would use his own Tao to steal the right to command thunder from the heavens. The stone statue was the ancestor of the Scatter Thunder clan. Although he was dead, he had spent his life with thunder as his companion, and had almost become thunder. The lightning mark between his eyebrows refused to yield. It was rumored that the original ancestor of the scattered Thunder clan was a bolt of thunder, a heaven-defying bolt of thunder that wouldn't yield even to the heavens. If others worshipped him, then that person would gain the right to control thunder. However, if that person resisted, they would be destroyed by thunder. However, Wang Lin was going to resist. Thunder flashed in his right eye, and the ancient thunder dragon origin soul flew out. As the ball of lightning closed in, it let out a roar. The roar contained the majesty to control all thunder in the world. The ball of lightning continued to contract, but it stopped 10 feet away from Wang Lin. There was a thunderous rumble, but it wasn't able to shrink even one more inch. Wang Lin had already stood up. He looked like a thunder celestial. The aura of an ancient god emerged from his body. If an ancient god and thunder could fuse, then he was a thunder ancient god. Wang Lin sent out a divine sense message. Yield or be destroyed. He knew that the lightning around him wasn't ordinary. This lightning contained its own will. If had will, it was a spirit. This lightning was a thunder spirit formed by the will of the person that died. Rumbling sounds echoed. The ball of lightning around Wang Lin seemed to tremble under the might of thunder coming from Wang Lin. Also, under the impact of Wang Lin's ancient god aura, it yielded. The ball of lightning turned into rays of lightning and charged toward the ancient thunder dragon origin soul. It let out a heaven-shaking roar and suddenly grew larger. The stone statue trembled as if it was going to collapse. Wang Lin took a step forward and stepped into the void. He turned around and stared at the lightning mark between the eyebrows of the statue that still hadn't dissipated. From now on, your clan won't be able to fight with me for the right over thunder. Wang Lin's right eye lit up, and the ancient thunder dragon origin soul let out a roar as it coiled around him. It fused with the thunder from his eye and charged at the lightning mark on the statue. The dragon on the lightning mark between the statue's eyebrows and the statue trembled even more violently. Just at the moment the dragon landed, the eyes of the stone statue lit up, and Wang Lin saw a star system within. There was a giant formation that was so large it covered many star fields. There were cultivators outside it wearing strange clothes. It was obvious they weren't cultivators. They had looks of indifference, sarcasm, and disdain as they stared inside the formation. The inside of the formation was filled with celestial spiritual energy and origin energy ripples. Countless ancient cultivators and celestials were attacking the formation like crazy in an attempt to break out from the formation. However, this formation was extremely strange and was difficult to break. No matter how much these cultivators and celestials attacked, the formation didn't move at all. Some of the celestials even gave up their lives and exploded, but they didn't dent the formation one bit. A sense of sorrow and despair shrouded the inside of the formation. There were 9 rays of light flashing inside the formation. One of them was an axe. As it flew through the air, anyone that dared to break through died. Wang Lin even saw many cultivators decide to self-destruct in sorrow to stop this heaven-splitting axe, but they failed. There was another ray of light among the 9. It was a bolt of thunder. Everywhere it went, whether it was cultivators or celestials, everyone died. The indifference and disdain in the gazes of the people outside became even stronger. It was as if they nobles were looking at ant-like mortals. I refuse to let this be. I refuse to let this be. There will be a day when a future generation of cultivators will break this formation and cause all you outsiders to become extinct. Rivers of blood will flow in your outer realm. A celestial that was hit by the thunder let out a roar before his death. Reading so much. Besides, the golden keyboard is active. I ask everyone to support a bit more, not just words of support. I'm afraid I can't even carry the last 3. Chapter 1206. Cultivators like us never shrink from a fight. The scene from the eyes of the statue dissipated. The moment the scene dissipated, thunder flew out from the formation. It seemed to break through the void, the heavens, and time. It charged directly into Wang Lin's right eye. Thunderous rumbles echoed inside his mind, and he stumbled back several dozen feet. Then he stared at the stone statue with a ferocious expression. The stone statue suddenly collapsed into a pile of rubble and kicked up a lot of dust. Outer realm, for some reason, when Wang Lin saw that scene from the statue, his blood started boiling. When he saw the battle between Al-Heaven and the Alliance, countless cultivators died. But he didn't have this feeling. He witnessed a large calamity that arose due to a treasure, causing the deaths of countless cultivators. But he didn't have this feeling. He had seen the large factions inside the alliance fight amongst each other, but he didn't have this feeling. However, at this moment, he didn't even know why, but when he saw that scene, especially when all those celestial ancestors died, he felt blood rushing to his head. The cries of the celestial before death seemed to echo in his ears. I refuse to let this be. I refuse to let this be. There will be a day when a future generation of cultivators will break this formation and cause all you outsiders to become extinct. Rivers of blood will flow in your outer realm. Staring at the collapsed statue, the lightning mark in Wang Lin's right eye continued to flash. After a long time, he turned around and flew toward the mountain surrounded by the time restriction. When Wang Lin absorbed the lightning mark, the youth with the lightning mark from the outer realm turned extremely pale, and his body faintly started trembling. He clearly felt that there had been a battle of thunder before him. One side seemed to be thunder from his bloodline, and the other side was also thunder, but that thunder shook his mind. He had almost lost control over the thunder inside his body. The two people beside him obviously didn't have such a strong reaction, but the youth with the crescent moon mark was still gloomy. He seemed to be thinking of something. As for the person with the fire mark, his eyes shined and he didn't hide the greed in his eyes. What he was after was the power of fire he had noticed when Wang Lin's mind swept by. After a long time, the three of them appeared at the place where the stone statue collapsed. Looking at the stone statue, the youth with the lighting mark became even more pale, but there was also anger in his expression. He could feel that this statue was his ancestor. Although he didn't know why it was here, the thunder spirit the ancestor had left behind was forcibly taken by someone not long ago. However, after the anger faded, he was even more terrified. What do we do? The youth with the lightning mark looked at his two companions. The person with the fire mark slowly said, if the three of us all release our seals to reach our peak power, it will be possible to kill this person. The person with the lightning mark hesitated for a bit and then softly said, how about we leave and report this spatial crack to the elders and let them deal with it? I have a bad feeling. Wealth can only be obtained through danger. The youth with the crescent moon mark seemed to have made up his mind and clenched his teeth. The youth with the lightning mark silently pondered. A moment later, he revealed a fierce gaze and no longer hesitated. He searched for traces of thunder and rushed out. The other two followed, and they disappeared into the fog. Wang Lin moved like lightning through the fog and quickly arrived at where he fought Master Ashen Pine for the bottle. He looked at the time restriction before him and his eyes lit up. If this restriction hadn't been broken or had been broken a long time ago, it would have been very difficult for Wang Lin to open it unless he was willing to sacrifice treasures. However, this restriction had been broken just a few months ago, and although Wang Lin was in a dazed state when his mind passed over it, he still remembered an invisible crack on the restriction. This crack was the opening Master Ashen Pine, and the old woman in green had made. I only need to open that crack again. It shouldn't be hard. Wang Lin's hand formed seals and countless annihilation restrictions flew out. They landed on the time restriction, and the light screen began to ripple. Wang Lin didn't even blink, and his divine sense spread out, carefully observing. Shortly after, his eyes narrowed as he found the opening from before. Although this crack had healed, the time restriction here was only several months old. Unless countless years passed, this flaw would remain. This was one of the drawbacks of a time restriction. After finding the crack, Wang Lin's right hand reached out, and the crystal sword appeared. The moment the sword appeared, the aura of a pseudo-nirvana void treasure appeared. There was a flash of light, and the sword shot at the crack. A thunderous rumble immediately echoed, and ripples violently appeared on the time restriction. A fine crack appeared as the sword approached. At this moment, the crystal sword closed in, and under Wang Lin's control, endless sword energy spread out, causing an even louder rumble. Just at this moment, Wang Lin jumped up and his right hand reached at the air. The trident suddenly appeared, giving off an endless black glow. Wang Lin crashed down at the crack like a meteor. He was very fast and instantly closed in. The trident immediately stabbed into the crack, and a powerful force rushed into Wang Lin's body. However, Wang Lin let out a cold snort and his ancient god power filled his body. His right hand mercilessly pushed, and as popping sounds echoed, the trident pierced through the restriction. Then he left the trident and created a hole dozens of feet wide using the crack that had just healed several months ago. Wang Lin's left hand reached out and put away the crystal sword. He then rushed into the crack and charged at the mountain peak. As for the stone gate with the lightning mark, Wang Lin only looked at it before withdrawing his gaze. He soon arrived at the top of the mountain and swept his trident. A thunderous rumble echoed, and a spatial crack quickly appeared before him. He knew the exact location because of Master Ashen Pine's memories, and because his mind had swept past this location when he was comprehending Tao. The crack appeared and Wang Lin directly walked inside. Shortly after he entered, the three Outer Realm youths appeared outside the restriction. They looked at each other before clenching their teeth and entering the crack Wang Lin had opened. They headed for the mountain. When Wang Lin entered the mysterious space, he immediately saw the giant stone tablet. His eyes narrowed as he walked forward, and his gaze was pointed at the bottom of the tablet. He saw half a skeleton that was nailed to the stone tablet with two 7-colored nails. The black light seemed to be faintly moving around the skeleton, and it made the words on the bones give off a strange attraction that could make one go mad. Wang Lin walked closer step by step. He sealed his divine sense and didn't look at the skeleton. Instead, his gaze fell on the stone tablet. It was made of unknown material and gave off an ancient aura. After carefully looking at it, Wang Lin frowned. He felt like the material of the stone tablet was familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen something similar to it. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin's gaze swept over the skeleton. Even though he was prepared, he was still caught by it. However, he was prepared and recovered after retreating a few steps. His eyes lit up and he didn't hesitate to open his storage space. The golden word battle flew out from his storage space. The moment it appeared, the golden light from the skeleton began to fly out. The black and golden light from the skeleton constantly changed. In the end, the golden light flashed and flew out from the skeleton and went into the word battle. At this moment, a bright golden light filled the void. At this moment, the golden word battle flew directly to Wang Lin and landed between his eyebrows. Wang Lin's mind trembled. This old man is Xianxia. I know the sovereign will try to force me to yield in the future. However, as a cultivator of the Heaven star system, I'd rather die than work with people of the outer realm. One who inherits my Tao, comprehend this battle intent and slaughter your way to the outer realm in the future. Offer their blood to my spirit. Wang Lin's heart was filled with a monstrous battle intent, and countless scenes of Xianxia battling the world appeared in his mind. The countless images contained a powerful comprehension toward battle, and as his comprehension deepened, his domain began to fuse with this battle intent, causing a startling change. Just as Wang Lin was comprehending, a distortion appeared in the space he was in, and the three youths stepped inside. The youth with the fire mark stared greedily at Wang Lin. At this close distance, he could feel the fierce fire origin energy inside Wang Lin. If I devour him, I can evolve. The youth with the lightning mark was startled as he looked at Wang Lin. He could feel the powerful thunder from Wang Lin, but he also saw that Wang Lin was in a mysterious state. A heavenly opportunity? Only the youth with the crescent moon mark suppressed the shock in his mind when he saw Wang Lin's back. His pupils shrank, and a distant memory resurfaced in his heart. It indeed was him. The three of them charged at Wang Lin at the same time with powerful killing intent. The three of them all formed seals and mercilessly hit their foreheads with their palms. There were 3 popping sounds, and their bodies all went through shocking changes. The youth with the lightning mark expanded to hundreds of feet large and was covered in lightning. The youth with the fire mark suddenly grew a pair of fire wings, and a single horn appeared on his head. His expression revealed pain, but it was ferocious. The youth with the crescent moon mark was the most strange. His body didn't change much, but his skin turned into the color of the moon. This crystal color became a stark contrast against the golden light. However, just as they charged in and closed in, Wang Lin suddenly turned around. His eyes became clear and revealed a hint of mockery. It was the same mockery the Outer Realm cultivators had toward the Sealed Realm cultivators. I am a hero both in life and death. Cultivators like us never shrink from a fight. The last words of Xianxia when facing the sovereign appeared in Wang Lin's mind. Fans celebrating the new year, please join the VIDEEO fan battle team. If you need to complete a mission, Leo can praise everyone in the chapter narration. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1207. Thunder? Fire? Cultivators like us never shrink from a fight. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with battle intent. The three people were all from the outer realm, and the scene from the stone statue had caused his blood to boil. At this moment, there was no karma, only killing intent. The more he learned about the past, the stronger this killing intent became. The youth with the lightning mark was the fastest, and he closed in. He was originally only a peak Nirvana cleanser cultivator, but after the strange transformation, his cultivation level increased and he unexpectedly reached the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer. Then it broke past the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer to reach the mid-stage. Wang Lin had never seen this kind of ability before in his life. This wasn't them hiding their cultivation levels, they had borrowed power from the heavens. To be more exact, this wasn't the first time Wang Lin had fought with the people of the outer realm. In the void with the Moongazer serpent, he had already fought with them. But back then Wang Lin was too weak to attract their attention, and he had no control over his own fate. However, now Wang Lin was qualified to look at the three fiercely charging at him with disdain and mockery. The youth with the lightning mark was covered in lightning, and as he moved forward, popping sounds echoed. He seemed to become lightning as he quickly closed in. His hands formed a seal and the lighting around him formed a giant figure. This figure was more than 1,000 feet tall and was covered in blue lightning. It had a large lightning mark between its eyebrows and its gaze could shake the mind of anyone who met it. Thunder collapse! The youth with the lightning mark roared as he closed in on Wang Lin. Thunder, the mockery in Wang Lin's eyes, became even stronger. Thunder flashed in his right eye, and the lightning mark also appeared in his right eye. He took a step forward. At this moment, the world seemed to slow down in Wang Lin's eyes. Everything seemed to be underwater and almost stop. The three people before him, even the youth with lightning, were so slow that they were insignificant. With one step before a thunderous rumble could echo as he broke the sound barrier, he already arrived before the person with the lightning mark. He raised his right hand and smashed it into the youth's chest. 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes, 4 strikes. In a short moment, Wang Lin's 2 fingers formed a sword and struck 4 times. Rumble, 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 rumble. The youth with the lightning mark turned pale, then shock filled his eyes and he coughed out blood. His chest was a bloody mess, and a large amount of lightning was flashing on his chest. The lightning quickly spread like a net and surrounded his body. This happened in a flash. It was so fast, no one had time to react. To the remaining 2 people from the outer realm, Wang Lin had just turned around and hadn't moved at all with that look of mockery in his eyes. However, in that instant, one of their companions coughed out blood and was thrown back. It was also at this moment that the thunderous rumble arrived. Thunder Ancestor, lend me the power to devour this sealed realm cultivator. Popping sounds came from the youth with the lightning mark, and more than half of the bones in his body were broken. He was thrown back few hundred feet, and the lightning around him collapsed. There was also a lightning net around him that seemed to seal him. Covered in blood, his head jerked up and he let out an earth-shattering roar. It was filled with madness. However, in Wang Lin's eyes, this madness was filled with fear and despair. The moment the person with the lightning mark roared, the illusion around him began to turn corporeal. Endless lightning appeared out of nowhere and gathered toward that illusion. As the lightning gathered, the illusionary figure, which was 1,000 feet tall, became like the incarnation of heavenly thunder. Wang Lin's expression remained indifferent, and he took one more step forward. With this step, his true and false domains spread out. This step seemed to land on the heartbeat of the youth with the lightning mark. A thunderous rumble echoed, and more blood gushed out from his chest. His right hand gripped his chest. His heart had collapsed due to Wang Lin's domain. Wang Lin didn't even look at this person. With one step, he seemed to raise to the heavens, and he arrived next to the large figure and casually hit it with his right palm. At the same time, thunder flashed inside his right eye. The lightning mark flew out from his eye and landed between the eyebrows of the illusion. From now on, your clan is deprived of the right to fight with me over the control of thunder. His voice was gloomy but also filled with a sense of majesty. It was like law and was filled with the determination to seal a clan. It was as if he was taking back the control that had been given to the Scatter Thunder clan. The illusionary figure trembled and collapsed into endless lightning. It unexpected turned into lightning and descended on the youth. Popping sounds echoed as the youth's body instantly collapsed and turned to ashes. His origin soul was tied up by the lightning. When Wang Lin turned around, all the lightning and thunder was absorbed by him. The youth's origin soul was pulled into Wang Lin's right eye as well. The lightning mark in Wang Lin's right eye became even more clear. All of this happened in an instant. The pupils of the person with the fire mark shrank, and his eyes became filled with unimaginable fear. He couldn't help but pause and was about to retreat. Wang Lin turned around and his gaze fell on the youth with the fire mark. Fire? The disdain in his eyes became even stronger. A monstrous flame appeared in his right eye, and a sea of flames covering thousands of feet around him appeared. The youth with the fire mark became pale. He wanted to retreat, but he was surrounded by the sea of fire. He struggled and let out a roar. The wings made of fire behind him waved, and a large amount of fire appeared to form a firestorm. After forming the firestorm, he charged at Wang Lin. As he moved forward, his hands formed a seal and strange chants came from his mouth. Even more fire came out from his body, forming a wall of fire that smashed toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin waved his hand and the sea of flames seemed to boil. The entire sea of flames closed in on the youth with the fire mark. This was a duel between fire and fire. The two fires from the same origin but controlled by two different people collided in the blink of an eye. A series of heaven-shaking rumbles echoed, and with a bang the youth with the fire mark charged out. The fire wings, which were similar to the wings of a vermilion bird, gave off a purple fire as he closed in on Wang Lin. Not a human or a vermilion bird, just a deformed resident of the outer realm. The fire from Wang Lin's left eye covered his whole body, and the vermilion bird armor appeared around him. At this moment, he was like an ancient fire god. The moment the youth with the fire mark saw this, he became crazy and his eyes filled with disbelief. He exclaimed, "Holy armor!" Burn. Wang Lin's eyes revealed indifference and killing intent. He lifted his left hand and pointed at the youth with the fire mark. With this, the youth's body trembled violently, and the terror in his eyes was indescribable. He let out a miserable scream as the fire burst from inside his body and he burned himself. As a member of the Fire Sparrow clan, he had been accompanied by fire his whole life. He could have never imagined that one day he would be betrayed by this fire. The fire he had always freely controlled had completely betrayed him as if it had met its true master. His miserable screams echoed as his body was burned to ashes. However, after his body turned to ashes and his origin soul was burning, he let out a chant. I summoned the ancestral spirit as a member of the Fire Sparrow clan. The moment his voice echoed, his origin soul collapsed. The specks of light turned into fire and turned into an illusionary vermilion bird. This vermilion bird was black and was covered in an aura of hostility. It didn't even seem like a vermilion bird. It was more like a fire bird that was enlarged several fold. It was filled with hostility as it let out a roar and charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a cold short and his left eye shined. The cry of a real vermilion bird echoed from inside his body. At the same time, a white vermilion bird appeared around him. This was the true vermilion bird. The moment it appeared, it stared at the giant black firebird and revealed a look of contempt. Without the need for Wang Lin's order, it charged out with a cry. At this moment, half of the world was covered in flames, and it attempted to devour the large firebird. The giant black firebird became even more hostile, but it showed obvious intent to retreat. From now on, your clan is deprived of the right to fight with me over the control of fire. As Wang Lin's words echoed, the vermilion bird and the black firebird collided. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the black firebird immediately collapsed, unable to resist at all. It was as if it had met its ancestor, or when the fake meets the real. The fire the black firebird released after it collapsed was immediately devoured by the vermilion bird, and even its spirit was devoured. At this moment, all the fire in this world belonged to Wang Lin. The vermilion bird let out a cry. It was in high spirits. It unexpectedly showed sign of a third awakening. The flames around its body burned even higher and stronger. This scene caused the expression of the youth with the crescent moon mark to change drastically, and he finally turned pale. He was covered in cold sweat. He couldn't even get a clear look at Wang Lin's figure before everything just ended in an instant. He thought about how this person had seriously injured his teacher in the void, even though his teacher said later that this person wasn't even strong enough to withstand one blow. Without any hesitation, the youth with the crescent moon mark immediately retreated like crazy to escape from this terrifying existence. It was as if the closer he was to this person, the more nervous he became, and the closer his mind came to collapsing. Wang Lin coldly stared at the youth and uttered words that made the youth lose his wits. A mere slave clan dares to call themselves the Heavenly Tao before me. It's time to double the likes for the video, wishing for more likes for the video. Chapter 1208. Resolve the Ancient Covenant. The youth with the crescent moon mark turned and roared at Wang Lin. I'm not from a slave clan. Wang Lin looked at the youth with an indifferent gaze, and the fire around became more intense. The first time he met the youth was inside the void in the battle against the Moongazer serpent. He had come from the outer realm and formed a vortex in an attempt to take the Moongazer serpent. This person was extremely arrogant, and proudly said that he was the Heavenly Tao before the people of the sealed realm like Wang Lin. Wang Lin was shocked at the time, but the more he learned about the past, the colder his gaze toward the youth became. The slave clan of the ancient gods, the one who was sheltered by the ancient gods in primordial times, the moon-devouring clan. As Wang Lin let out a cold snort, his right hand formed a fist and he threw a punch. The power of an ancient god rushed through the void and a thunderous rumble echoed as if it could destroy the world. It quickly closed in on the youth. The youth's face was pale. He knew that he could not escape. If he wanted to live, he had to fight. However, his heart felt bitter. Even if he fought, what were the chances of him surviving? He didn't know. If he was outside and he was fighting with one of his own clan members, he could at least surrender. However, this person was a sealed realm cultivator, and also an ancient god, a royal ancient god. From the records from his family, his clan had betrayed the ancient gods. Even if he surrendered, he couldn't escape the fate of death and having his soul searched. What exactly is this damn place? Why would sealed realm cultivators appear here? The youth's expression became even more ferocious, and he let out a roar. His hands formed a seal, and his body became even more crystal-like, as if he was covered in moonlight. As Wang Lin's fist closed in, he began to rotate and formed a vortex. Within the vortex, a giant crescent moon appeared. The moment Wang Lin's fist landed, there was a thunderous rumble. The crescent moon trembled violently but didn't collapse. However, blood came out from the corner of the youth's mouth. He clenched his teeth and surged all the power in his body. He then pushed forward and shouted, "Rebound moon force!" In an instant, the light from the crescent moon became blinding and the image of an ancient god punch shot out at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was unchanged as he sneered and lifted his right hand for another punch. At the same time, he took a step and closed in at an unimaginable speed. The punch landed with the punch formed by the crescent moon, and a roar echoed. How can the spell of a slave clan fight against an ancient god? Wang Lin rushed forward and his right fist continued to throw punches at the vortex. The rumbling continued and the youth inside the vortex continued to retreat. Every step he took back caused his body to tremble violently. At this moment, Wang Lin was like a battle celestial. He was filled with endless battle intent as he closed in step by step. One of them pushed forward and one retreated, and each punch created a rebound moon force. At this instant, all sounds were suppressed by these rumbles. "Break for me." Wang Lin's voice was calm, but it contained an invisible pressure. At this moment, his body rotated and his right foot kicked the vortex. As the popping sounds echoed, the vortex collapsed. The crescent moon inside fragmented and exploded. A bloody shadow was pushed out. It was the youth covered in blood. He was thrown into the distance in an arc. Wang Lin walked toward the youth. The youth's eyes were blurry, but he struggled to chant a very complex spell. At the same time, his hands formed a seal and he pointed to between his eyebrows. Forbidden moon spell, Goddess Wrath. This youth knew that his moon-devouring clan had an ancient forbidden spell. He was not supposed to use this spell until it was the last resort, because it was humiliating for his moon-devouring clan to use it. As he roared, he knelt down on the ground. Wang Lin closed in. The youth's hand formed a strange seal, and he began worshipping. "Lend the power of the god souls to the members of my moon-devouring clan." The moment his voice echoed, a powerful ancient god power appeared around the youth. the space behind him twisted, and the shadow of an ancient god several thousand feet tall appeared. The ancient god was a blur and his eyes were closed. Only his 7 ancient god stars gave off a dazzling glow. The youth's heart felt humiliation. But at this moment of crisis, he couldn't care for too much as his hoarse voice echoed across the void. I request the ancient god soul to give this slave the power of the moon to destroy all my enemies. The ancient god shadow that appeared behind him suddenly opened his eyes and revealed an ancient and tyrannical gaze. He slowly lifted his right hand, then it descended toward Wang Lin. The youth's eyes were vicious as he thought in his heart, "Since you both ancient gods, then I'll let you ancient gods kill each other." Wang Lin's eyes were filled with sorrow as he looked at the shadow of the ancient god and the punch that was closing in. He let out a sigh and the ancient god stars between his eyebrows appeared. They began to rotate, and ancient god aura filled his body. The ancient god language came from Wang Lin's mouth and spread out like ripples. "The clan you protect has betrayed my ancient god clan. As a royal ancient god, I order you all to scatter." The shadow of the ancient god paused. His eyes became filled with confusion and then liberation as he gradually disappeared. It had been a long time since a royal ancient god had appeared among the ancient gods. The ancient god soul that protected the moon-devouring clan was just a sliver of will back then. It was a royal ancient god that decided to protect the slave moon-devouring clan. And the entire ancient god clan carried it out without hesitation for a long time. Even as time passed and they died, the will that existed in the world continued to shelter them. This would go on until another royal ancient god appeared to give the order to stop. That was the only way for this ancient covenant to be resolved. Today, at this moment, Wang Lin's words were the will of the royal ancient gods. The youth was completely startled. With his experience, how could he know this big secret? He didn't know. And that's why he was stupid enough to borrow the power of the ancient gods before a royal ancient god like Wang Lin. From now on, the ancient gods will no longer shelter the moon-devouring clan. They will destroy the moon-devouring clan.